Chapter 214. Of course, Gu Chensha wanted to entice Gu Hua. Firstly, although he had obtained Gu Hua's storage bracelet, the Star Dragon bracelet, he could not open it. He had to extract the secrets within. Secondly, the Great Wei dynasty was involved in his recruitment of Baoyu Nation. Even if he killed Gu Hua, they would send even stronger experts. It would be very troublesome. Of course, he would not let Gu Hua go just like that. He would definitely use all sorts of methods to subdue him and make him his pawn. If that did not work, then he would have to kill him. Gu Hua's cultivation was far above his own, and his future would be limitless. This person also had some sort of destiny. Otherwise, he would not have been able to break through to Jindan when the demon star had descended and the black chi had engulfed the sun. If not for the black tortoise baby's ambush in the sea, he would not have been able to do anything to the other party. An unparalleled talent like Gu Hua would become even more terrifying with each additional day. He could not be given any room to grow. However, the black tortoise baby's growth was much faster than his, and Gu Qinsha was not very afraid. The black tortoise's innate talent was even better than Fa Wuxian's. It was at the pinnacle of a natural-born sage. Speak. Name your conditions. What do I have to do for you to let me go? Gu Hua was indeed an ambitious man. He knew his place and did not make a fuss. Instead, he was very direct. If you want to kill me and take my Jindan, I have nothing to say. I have miscalculated and cannot blame anyone else. Good. Direct. Gu Qinsha said, then I will make my request. Of course, it is for you to leave the Great Wei dynasty and submit to me. Become my man. Everything is negotiable. You know that I will not be merciful to my enemies. You are an unparalleled talent with high cultivation. If you become my man, I will be like a tiger that has grown wings. Impossible. I will not betray the black-yellow dragon emperor. Gu Hua immediately refused without hesitation. Let me ask you, if you were captured by the Great Wei dynasty, what would you choose? Of course, I would rather die than submit. Gu Qinsha didn't even think about it. People of my generation can be beheaded, blood can be shed, and life can be lost, but righteousness cannot be abandoned. That's right. If you want to mention betraying the Great Wei dynasty, then kill me. A look of determination appeared on Gu Hua's face. I was able to cultivate to the golden core of the Great Path, so I'm not a weakling. Sigh. Gu Qinsha let out a long sigh. I'll give you some time to think about it. I hope you won't disappoint me. I definitely won't leave a terrifying enemy like you behind. It doesn't matter how long you take to consider, Gu Hua said, then I can only take a step back. I can't return the golden core to you. I can spare your life, but you must return the Star Dragon bracelet to me. You must also lead your people to withdraw from the overseas countries, never to invade again, never to be my enemy. Swear by the great mighty heavenly dragon. Gu Qinsha said, killing is but a simple matter. You wanted to kill me this time, and I'm only sparing your life for Bao Ming's sake. Once the golden core was taken, he would lose 99% of his power, and his primordial spirit would be damaged. Without a special encounter, it was basically impossible to recover. All right, I promise you. Gu Hua was very straightforward and did not hesitate at all. I swear by the name of the great mighty heavenly dragon that I will never oppose you again and will never invade the lands of the great Yonko court. Also, I can open the Star Dragon bracelet. As he spoke, he seemed to gather some sort of will. The Star Dragon bracelet shone with light, as if a door had been opened, and the aura of many treasures and spiritual pills appeared. Very well, I'll believe you this once. Gu Qinsha knew that the Great Wei dynasty's custom was to swear by the great mighty heavenly dragon and not dare to violate it. Otherwise, there would be disaster. This Gu Hua had lost his golden core, and his cultivation level had been reduced by 99%. He was not much of a threat. Of course, releasing a tiger back into the mountains was dangerous, but he had his own plans. You actually kept your promise? Gu Hua thought that he was going to die. He had originally promised the other party as a last resort, but who would have thought that Gu Qinsha would really let him go? Yes, we, the Yonko, always keep our word. Naturally, we will not do anything that goes back on our word. Gu Qinsha smiled. Do you want to leave now? Or do you want me to send you to Baoyu country, and you can bring your subordinates with you? Now that you have lost your golden core, I'm afraid you will not be able to cross the sea. There is a flying escape talisman in this star dragon bracelet. Take it out and give it to me, and I will naturally fly, Guhua said. All right, I will help you to the end. Gu Chincha's Khanate Gang Chi seeped into the star dragon bracelet, and he found that the space inside was huge. It had an ancient aura, and there were many medicinal pills, treasures, and various resources piled up like mountains. He immediately found the flying escape talisman and gave it to Guhua. Guhua took it and dripped a drop of blood on it. Instantly, the talisman turned into a ball of air that wrapped around him. He flew into the air, and with a sudden shake, he disappeared. The flying escape talisman was a consumable made by experts. Once activated, the talisman would turn into a ball of air that wrapped around the person and fly according to the person's will. Seeing Guhua fly away, a smile appeared on Gu Chincha's face. Whoosh! As Guhua flew rapidly, he left the fleet far behind. In the blink of an eye, he was thousands of miles away. This flying escape talisman was personally drawn by him, and it contained a lot of power. It was definitely not ordinary. All of a sudden, he stopped in midair. A smile appeared on his face, and he was not depressed because he had lost his golden core. Indeed, the Black-Yellow Dragon Emperor was right. I have cultivated the 9 disasters and changes. I have to go through 3 disasters and 9 disasters myself to achieve a supreme opportunity. This time, I actually lost my golden core and suffered a great loss. But I also survived a disaster of life and death. If it was anyone else who lost their golden core, their cultivation would be ruined, and they would have no chance of advancing. But I am different. The more disasters I suffer, the more my talent increases. When I go back and use the Black-Yellow Dragon Chi, I can quickly cultivate my cultivation back up. Guhua's eyes were full of killing intent. Gu Qinsha, not killing me was your biggest mistake. Taking my golden core is helping me. Let me gain a deeper understanding of my own calamities. Although I swore on the great mighty heavenly dragon that if I went back on my oath, there would be calamities, I will still go back on my oath and cause even more calamities to descend. Just you wait, I will definitely make you pay the price. When I make a comeback, I will find the person who reincarnated as the bane of existence. After devouring him, my own talent will rise to the level of a natural-born sage. At that time, even this black tortoise will be refined into medicine. As he spoke, he flew away again. On the wild shark battleship, Gu Chansha entered the space of the sun-moon altar and observed the golden core, suppressed by the black tortoise treasure. "Father, why did you let that guy go?" the black tortoise baby asked. "This person's talent is strong. Letting him go is like letting a tiger return to the mountain." Gu Chansha said slowly, "But since I defeated him this time, he won't have another chance. I fought a bitter battle with him and was suppressed by him. However, I was able to comprehend some of his secrets and familiarize myself with the 9 calamities transformation divine ability that he created. It is simply a miraculous skill. It complements my clumsy fist 9 techniques in many ways. This person's cultivation should advance after suffering from this calamity. I want to see to what extent he can advance. When his 9 calamities transformation divine ability reaches the pinnacle, I will be able to turn him around. Other than that, he is a person who carries some kind of destiny. Even if we kill him, he might really be reborn due to some kind of preparation, and that would make him even more powerful. Among the demonic stars that descended into the world, one of them is the bane of existence. I don't know who it will befall on, but this person created the 9 calamities transformation divine art, so he must be able to sense the person who reincarnated as the bane of existence. If we keep it, we can find that person in the future and take him into the calmness immortal department. Gu Qinsha was no longer the ignorant youth from back then. His cultivation gradually deepened, and his talent became that of a genius. He diligently read all kinds of ancient books and cultivated divine arts. He was good at scheming and observing the stars in the sky. It was just that he cultivated the strongest cultivation technique, the sun of heaven investiture art, so his realm improved slowly. This golden core's power is surging and is a rare treasure. It can be said to be the essence of the great Tao. Not only does it contain 99% of his primordial spirit, but it also contains the innate astral chi that he painstakingly cultivated all his life. It also contains all of his cultivation techniques. The black tortoise baby drooled again. If I eat it, I can save 3 years of growth. No way. Gu Chensha also knew that if he let the black tortoise baby grow for another 3 years, his strength would probably rise to an extremely terrifying level. However, he had more important things to do with this golden core. He learned the sun and moon sacrificial rites and understood all kinds of sacrificial rites. For this golden core, he could cast the sun-changing sacrificial rites. This sacrificial rites were the sky-stealing, sun-changing art. With this golden core as an offering, Gu Chensha could cast the sun-changing sacrificial rites and grasp all of Guhua's actions. Furthermore, he could steal his talent. Guhua was an authentic, peerless genius. His talent was extraordinary. After Gu Chensha snatched his golden core, it was equivalent to obtaining 99% of his primordial spirit. Of course, he had to make the best use of it. It was useless for him to devour this golden core, and it could not raise his cultivation realm. Even if he used the dragon's gate to convert it, it would only become a dragon-nurturing pill. It could raise his subordinate's talent to a genius, but it was useless for his own cultivation. However, if he used the sun-changing sacrificial rites, it would be completely useless. He could steal Guhua's talent for his own use. In other words, although Gu Chensha could not become a peerless genius like Guhua, his other talents were much better than his current ones. Apart from that, he could also use the sun-changing sacrificial rites to set up restrictions on Guhua. The reason why Gu Chensha let go of Guhua was actually to keep him and harvest him in the future. That was the many mystical changes of the sun-moon sacrificial rites. Sun-moon sacrificial rites. Sky-stealing, sun-changing art. The runes that Gu Chensha drew activated the sacrificial rites. He borrowed the power of the heavenly Tao to change the sun-changing art. Crack! Under the sacrificial rites, the golden core suddenly exploded, turning into endless light that was sacrificed to the heavens. Golden cores refined by Tao cultivators were the best sacrificial rites. That was because once a golden core was formed, one's lifespan would increase by 1,000 years. It was an item that could snatch life from the heavens. As the saying went, after swallowing a golden core, one would know that one's fate was not up to the heavens. Any golden core was definitely a heaven-defying act that was not tolerated by the heavenly Tao. There would be all sorts of tribulations in the future. If one sacrificed a golden core to the heavens would definitely be delighted. When the golden core shattered, countless Tao cultivation experiences, martial arts, and Tao techniques were transmitted into Gu Chensha's mind. A single experience contained all the essence, chi, and spirit of a Tao cultivator. It was extremely precious. In that instant, Gu Chensha grasped all of Guhua's martial arts. Even the various experiences that he had since learning martial arts were rare and precious. The golden core shattered and was sacrificed to the heavens. Then, an inexplicable current of air descended. This air current landed on Gu Chensha's body. Immediately, his mind became clear and his thoughts became agile. Strange and wonderful ideas emerged one after another. All the martial arts and Tao techniques had a brand new understanding. Many problems that he could not solve in the past were easily solved. This was the improvement of one's aptitude. He felt that with just a tiny bit of improvement, Gu Chensha could break through and enter the level of an unparalleled genius. His aptitude was already between a genius and an unparalleled genius. Crack! The Khanate Gang Chi in his body burned. The frequency of the sun and moon dragon's handle reached its limit, igniting the Samadhi true fire. Chapter 215. 10,000 miles of shadow, steal the sky, and change the sun. Gu Chensha's body burned with the true Samadhi flame, but it didn't reach his brain. If he could reach his brain and refine it without any danger, then he would have cultivated the Tao Realm 9 transformation glass jade body. Gu Qinsha was confident that he would be able to do so, but he wasn't in a rush and decided to slowly consolidate his cultivation. The Tao Realm 9 transformation was a matter of life and death. Once he cultivated it, he would live for 300 years. As for other experts, no matter how strong they were, they would only live for 100 years. After 150, they would age quickly and their energy would dissipate. Once the true Samadhi flame was formed, Gu Qinsha's Xiantian earth energy became much more exquisite. Although the innate stellar energy could be used in many different ways, it was still lacking in perfection. Some changes weren't perfect when used, but now it was pretty much as he wished. The combination and changes were really mysterious and exquisite. A mirror appeared in front of him. This was the sun-moon god mirror formed by his Xiantian earth energy. In the mirror, Guhua's figure appeared. His every move, every word, and even his inner thoughts appeared in the mirror. Guhua was totally controlled by Gu Qinsha. This was the amazing part of the sun-swapping sacrifice. Sacrificing the golden pellet and borrowing the power of the heavens to control it. Sun-moon refinement, sun-moon transformation, sun-moon kill, sun-moon dragon, sun-moon talisman, sun-moon sacrifice. All these moves use the Xiantian earth energy to transform into all sorts of treasures and even loss. When fighting with others, one thought could create all sorts of techniques. The sun-moon god mirror dissipated and turned into a flag once more. This flag shook slightly and a bright light exploded out. In a flash, the light was like tens of thousands of bolts of lightning, piercing through the space and destroying all evil. This was the sun-moon lightning flag. The Xiantian earth energy changed once more and turned into a dragon boat. It was similar to the Xuanhao dragon boat, but this was the sun-moon dragon boat. Actually, the Xuanhao dragon boat was a replica of the sun-moon dragon boat. Shortly after, Gu Qinsha practiced the transformations. The Xiantian earth energy turned into blades, spears, halberds, umbrellas, canopies, ropes, pagodas, pearls, banners, etc. Finally, there was a loud rumble. All the Xiantian gang, Qi, turned into a furnace, wrapping around Gu Qinsha and refining him. He wanted to train him into the invincible Vajra body. This was the sun-moon furnace. This was the ultimate transformation of the sun and moon dragon aura. As the saying goes, heaven and earth are the furnace, creation is the work, yin and yang are the charcoal, and all living things are the copper. This furnace had the ability to smelt everything. Gu Qinsha cultivated the Tao Realm 8 transformation Samadhi True Flame and used his body's energy to form the sun and moon furnace. From now on, using this furnace to refine pills, refine treasures, and even raise one's cultivation, he would be able to refine experts. After practicing these moves again, Gu Qinsha stood up, his eyes glittering. I've gained a lot this time. Sacrificing the golden core is secondary. The most important thing is the heavenly dragon spirit gathering flag in the star dragon bracelet. When Gu Qinsha used his Xiantian gang qi to take out the flying escape talisman from the star dragon bracelet, he realized that there were 1,000 heavenly dragon spirit gathering flags and many things that looked like imperial edicts. Guhua was a top talent, and his cultivation was really high. He also had the mandate of the heavens. In the Great Wei dynasty, even if he wasn't the crown prince, he would be the most important core person. For example, in the Daong dynasty, if a member of the royal family reached the golden core of the Great Tao, their status would be even higher than Liu Baiyue's. These heavenly dragon spirit gathering flags and imperial edicts contained a lot of emperor's energy. With this emperor's energy, not only could Gu Qinsha sacrifice the sun and moon splendor, but he could also raise his talent to become a top talent. After he learned the sun and moon sacrifice, he knew that the most mysterious thing in the world was the emperor's energy. The emperor's energy was loved by the heavenly Tao. A weak emperor could topple mountains and overturn oceans the moment he opened his mouth. He could change one's fate, turning a poor person into a noble and causing the heads of those in high positions to fall to the ground. This was the mystery of the emperor's energy. The so-called emperor's energy was some kind of rule and law in the hearts of the people. This energy far surpassed spiritual energy and celestial energy, but there were very few people who knew how to use it. Even when the emperor became a god, he had to use this energy as a sacrifice to the heavenly Tao, so that there would be a place for the gods in the heavenly Tao. Think about it. How mysterious was the emperor's energy that could turn a person into a god? Gu Qinsha knew that in the sun and moon sacrifice, there was a move called the fate-changing sacrifice. It was to use the emperor's energy as a sacrifice to change one's destiny and raise one's talent. He was now at the peak of the geniuses and was just a hair's breadth away from becoming a top talent. Relying on the Dragon Gate was no longer effective. He could only rely on the heavenly talisman as a sacrifice. That was why he said that his biggest gain this time was to obtain the emperor's energy of the Great Wei dynasty from Guhua. If he could use the fate-changing sacrifice to raise himself to a top talent, then many problems in cultivation could be easily solved. After learning the sun and moon sacrifice, the benefits were indescribable. He had all kinds of sacrificial methods, and he no longer needed to read ancient books to experiment. Come out! Under the guidance of Gu Qinsha's stellar dragon bracelet, more than 1,000 heavenly dragon spirit convening flags suddenly flew out and entered the space of the sun and moon sacrificial altar. Besides that, there were also dozens of imperial edicts and a large seal. These imperial edicts were all bestowed by the black-yellow dragon emperor to Guhua, and he carried them with him. As for the seal, it was not a treasure, but an official seal. The Dragon Lord's seal. Guhua was also a dragon lord, but above the seal, there were actually 6 stars standing side by side. This meant that Guhua was also a 6-star dragon lord. They were both dragon lords, but Baoming was only a 3-star dragon lord. In the Great Wei dynasty, dragon lords were extremely noble, but they were also divided into 7 levels. The highest level was the 7-star dragon lord, which was second only to the black-yellow dragon emperor. As the saying went, one stood on the 7-star dragon lord and controlled all the weapons in the world. As for Guhua, he was a 6-star dragon lord, and the emperor's chi in the seal was also very thick. So much emperor's chi is still not enough to push me to the level of an unparalleled genius. Gu Qinsha formed seals with both hands, activating the sun and moon sacrifice. If he used souls as sacrifices, he would need many materials, and it would not be very convenient. However, Emperor's Qi was of a higher level than souls, and was favored by the heavenly Tao. Activating the sun and moon sacrifice did not require materials, and it could be done as he wished. Change fate, change luck, Emperor's Qi. Words are law. As Gu Qinsha activated the seals, the Emperor's Qi on the 1,000-odd heavenly dragon spirit convening flags, imperial edicts, and seals were all extracted and absorbed by the sun and moon sacrificial altar. Rumble. After being sucked away, the void above the sacrificial altar did not immediately produce air currents. Instead, many runes were brewing. Twisting fate and changing one's talent was no small matter. Gu Qinsha also knew that he could not rush it. He quietly waited for the heavenly Tao to send something down. Wong. After a full hour, the runes finally formed into a sphere and finally fell to the ground like a meteor, dragging a long tail behind it as it landed in Gu Qinsha's head. Gu Qinsha felt his body suddenly grow taller, and his spiritual sense expanded infinitely. He saw things from a different perspective, and his view of the world was also different. In the past, he could be said to be short-sighted, but now he was like a great man standing at the peak, looking down on the world. He saw things from a different perspective. This was talent. It had nothing to do with the strength of one's body or the strength of one's mind. Instead, it was a combination of the soul's view of the world and one's own personality. There's actually so much Emperor's Qi. It has allowed me to break through the last bit and reach the level of an unparalleled genius. Gu Chunsha immediately knew that with his continuous scheming, he had finally broken through and improved his talent. It seems like Gu Hua is an important person in the Great Wei dynasty. He is one of the pillars in the future. He has the mandate of heaven, so the emperor's qi he received is much thicker than Bao Ming Er's. Now, all of it has benefited me, allowing me to become an unparalleled genius. Gu Qinsha had finally reached the level of an unparalleled genius. Suddenly, he thought of something. Father is so strong. Is it because he understood the secrets of the emperor's qi? Can he be like the heavenly Tao and absorb the emperor's qi for his own use? After thinking about it, he still did not understand. Forget it. These things are not for me to consider. He made a plan for himself. The most important thing now is to turn my talent into an unparalleled genius. Then, I will comprehend all my martial arts to the next level. I will go all out and raise my cultivation to the 9 transformations of the Tao realm, the glass jade body. Also, this star dragon hoop is an ancient item, and it is closely related to the primitive dragon sect. It can be integrated into the dragon's gate, allowing the dragon's gate's might to rise to another level. Gu Chunsha wanted to do 2 things. Baby, can you fuse this star dragon hoop into my dragon gate? Gu Chunsha asked the black tortoise baby. Of course I can. This star dragon ring is a bone of the most mysterious star dragon of the prehistoric era. The star dragon itself was spat out by the dragon gate. The black tortoise baby knew many ancient secrets. This item can increase the power of your dragon gate by 80%. Then I'll leave it to you. I'm going to cultivate in seclusion to break through to the 9 changes realm. Gu Chunsha moved out all the pills, talismans, materials, and riches stored in the star dragon hoop and placed them on the sun-moon altar. He placed the naked star dragon hoop into the dragon gate and handed it to the black tortoise baby before entering seclusion. He activated the samadhi true fire in his body. It was easy, agile, and almost without any hindrance. He began to burn his brain inch by inch. As the flames swirled above his head, black gas emerged. It was the impurities in the depths of his brain. His entire head was engulfed by the samadhi true fire, and it looked like it was about to melt. Success. Gu Chensh's willpower was extraordinary. He activated the energy and changed it many times. The samadhi true fire turned into threads that drilled into his 7 orifices. A few hours passed, and the clothes on his body were all burnt. His body gave off a 5-colored light, and under the shine of the sun-moon altar, he looked like a god. He shook his hands, and a huge energy current swept the entire altar. Gu Chunsha reached the Tao realm 9 transformations, glass jade body. Tao realm 36 transformations. Every 9 transformations represented an achievement. This was the so-called 4-9 transformations. Every 9 transformations would result in a different change in the nature of life. At this moment, Gu Chunsha had completed the first 9 transformations. Once he cultivated the glass jade body, even if he faced Gu Hua at full strength, he wouldn't be totally helpless. If I am not a top genius, I won't be able to control the sun-moon dragon energy and successfully enter the glass jade body. Gu Chunsha calculated in his heart. But even a top genius can't fully control the son of heaven god sealing technique unless I have the talent to become a saint. But how difficult is that? The amount of son of heaven energy required isn't as simple as 10 or 100 times. Chapter 2:16. The talent of a natural saint was much stronger than that of a top genius. XSWTXT Gu Chunsha used a series of methods to steal Great Wei Dynasty's Son of Heaven energy, sacrificing it to the heavens to obtain the talent of a top genius. But to become a natural saint, he probably wouldn't even be able to steal 100 Gu Hua's Son of Heaven energy. Unless he became the Great Wei Dynasty Emperor and sacrificed it to the heavens to raise his talent. Only then would he be able to become a natural saint. But that would consume a large amount of the country luck and Son of Heaven energy. For example, in ancient records, there was a beautiful place with extraordinary spiritual energy. But a certain dynasty suddenly gave birth to a famous person, and then that place didn't have any more talents. That person sucked away all the spiritual energy in that place. After Gu Chensha understood this theory, he didn't use the Yonko decree to sacrifice. Instead, he sacrificed Great Wei dynasties. Great Wei dynasty was an enemy country, so weakening their country luck was killing two birds with one stone for Gu Chensha. Now that I have the glass body, I have enough strength to do things. It seems like there won't be any problems recruiting Baoyu country. It is all thanks to Guhua's help. Gu Chensha restrained all the astral energy in his body. He activated all kinds of martial arts and circulated them at will, especially his mental power. Even without the protection of the heaven's sacrificial talisman, others could forget about taking away his soul. Dao Realm Transformation 12 could steal souls and could control anyone below Dao Realm Transformation 9. But when one reached Dao Realm Transformation 9, the glass body and the Samadhi True Fire would make one's soul really tough and tough to control. Especially since Gu Chensha cultivated the Son of Heaven God sealing technique and turned into the Sun Moon Dragon Brain. It was even tougher. With a thought, he split out 3,000 balls of Xiantian energy. Each ball of energy turned into different shapes and even formed words to form an article. This meant that he could now do 3,000 things at once. Of course, he hadn't reached Dao Realm Transformation 10. The 1,000 words were just an empty word. When an ordinary expert cultivated his cultivation technique to the 10th transformation, he would be able to create 1,000 clumps of stellar energy, each of which could transform into 1,000 living people. However, Gu Chensha's cultivation technique was too advanced. When he reached the 9 transformations glass jade body, he was able to multitask 3,000 times at once. When he reached the 10 transformations, he would definitely be able to multitask 10,000 times at once. At that time, the transformation of innate stellar energy would be something that no expert could compare to. Multitasking was the best way to control innate stellar energy. The more he could use it, the more mysterious the innate stellar energy would become. I've already fused the Star Dragon bracelet into the Dragon Gate. At this time, the black tortoise baby opened its mouth and spat out the Dragon Gate. The Dragon Gate became the size of a sesame seed. The black and white colors within it changed. It was as if space had collapsed, and even light was being absorbed into it. As expected, the power of this Dragon Gate has increased by 80%. Gu Chensha was overjoyed. The Dragon Gate was really strong, and Gu Chensha relied on it to be able to use Dao Realm Transformation 7 cultivation to fight against 18 transformation Guhua. Now that the Dragon Gate had strengthened once more and his cultivation had increased by 2 more realms, as long as an old monster didn't attack, he would be able to sweep everyone. Moreover, there was also the black tortoise baby, Wang. To reward the black tortoise baby, Gu Chensha waved his hands and large amounts of sun and moon dragon energy surged into its body. It was so comfortable that it spread out its limbs lazily. Sun and moon dragon blood and sun and moon dragon energy were the black tortoise baby's greatest replenishment. Since ancient times, the 4 symbol god beasts loved to follow the emperor for this reason. Gu Chensha's injection was the same as the black tortoise baby's growth for a few months. Once everything was prepared, Gu Chensha walked out of the Sun Moon altar and left the black tortoise baby to cultivate. The black tortoise baby couldn't show itself. Otherwise, some old monsters would target it. Moreover, in the Sun Moon altar, the black tortoise baby's cultivation increased really quickly. Bathing in the light of the sun and moon, the black tortoise baby's bloodline could be refined once more. The fleet was still sailing on the sea. This time, it was calm and there were no more obstacles. When encountering a storm, Gu Chensha condensed his Xiantian energy into the sea-calming pearl and threw it into the sea. The pearl emitted vibrating power and absorbed the storm, calming the sea. With his current cultivation, he could stabilize the sea within 100 miles from being corroded by the storm with the sea-calming pearl. Moreover, his Xiantian energy became more and more proficient in the storm. Occasionally, there would be lightning on the sea. He would rush into the clouds and absorb the lightning essence to temper his body and turn it into dragon energy. When the Xiantian energy was full, he would send the excess into the black tortoise baby's body to help it grow. Other than that, he repeatedly used the Samadhi true fire to temper the demon's subduing blade, king dragon armor, and dragon gate. The three treasures circulated and the Xiantian energy flowed. It was extraordinary. At the same time, the treasures stored in the star dragon bracelet were all taken out. There was a large number of elixirs. One was called the black-yellow elixir. This elixir was made by gathering the essence of the void and refining it with the means of creation. Not only could one completely replenish the Xiantian energy in one's body, but it could also strengthen the primordial spirit. As for washing one's body and marrow, it was not a problem. This elixir required an extremely strong cultivation. Only experts who had reached the void creation realm could refine it. It was no longer a realm where one could gather herbs in the mortal world and refine it with Xiantian energy. Those with extremely strong cultivation could draw all kinds of Xiantian energy from the void and turn it into matter. For example, by drawing Gungjin energy, one could turn it into various metals. By drawing Emu energy, one could turn it into various plants. This kind of ability was close to that of a god. This black-yellow elixir should have been refined by the black-yellow dragon emperor. It was specially given to important officials. In the star dragon bracelet, this black-yellow elixir was the most precious. There were more than 300 of them. Other than that, there were also some talismans that Gu Hua refined himself. They were also extremely powerful. But Gu Qinsha had no use for them. He gave them to Long Zifei and the others to protect themselves. Talismans refined by Jindan Dao experts were not ordinary. They already contained the power of the primordial spirit. Other than elixirs and talismans, there were also many materials for refining armaments. Such as meteoric iron, ancient beast hide, beast bone, and many precious jade stones. Gu Qinsha took out some of the materials that he could use. Other than refining the king dragon's armor and the demon's subduing blade, he handed the rest to Long Yiyun, Frosty Jade Dew, and Long Zifei to handle. Finally, there were the gold notes. These were the gold notes of the Great Wei dynasty's banks. The Great Wei dynasty's internal wealth was mainly in gold and silver. So the gold notes were all written in taels. Stacks of gold notes piled up, but Gu Qinsha did not count them. These gold notes could not be withdrawn in the Great Wei dynasty. When the time came, he would go back and trade with Baoming. This time, Gu Hua had suffered a heavy loss, but Gu Qinsha had made a huge fortune. Disregarding everything else, a black-yellow pill might not be as valuable as the 7 Sage Heart Cultivation pill, but it could be sold for an extremely good price in the Immortal Dao sections. Gu Qinsha could also use it to raise his cultivation. Just like that, they sailed for a full month. Finally, the fleet crossed the vast sea and saw many islands. Behind the islands was a continent. Moreover, there were more ships on the nearby sea, showing the prosperity of Baiyu Nation's trade. There were even many civilian merchant ships of the Great Yonko among them. Many of the wealthy families among the people needed large amounts of jade every year, and many of them went to Baiyu Nation to purchase them. Other than some of the sage families, the second- and third-rate wealthy families among the people, the nobles of the imperial court, and the big trading companies all needed to purchase jade. Even the imperial family spent money on purchasing jade every year. However, although there were many merchant fleets on the sea, none of them had the grandeur of the fleet in front of them. Even the official fleet of Baiyu Nation was not as strong as this fleet. Therefore, as the fleet sailed slowly, many merchant ships gave way to it. No ship dared to stand in front of it. In the distance, many people from the merchant fleets came out to watch, pointing and discussing. One of the merchant fleets was also quite large. It was surrounded by dozens of ships. The ships were also made of steel and were very sturdy. However, compared to Gu Qinsha's fleet, it was like a beggar meeting a millionaire. It was so shabby that it was not even worth mentioning. A few young masters stood on the largest ironclad warship and looked at Gu Chinch's fleet from afar. Their expressions were somewhat ugly. Young Master Qi, the fleet that our Jingwu merchant group has accumulated for hundreds of years is probably not worth mentioning compared to this fleet, said one of the young masters. This is probably the 19th Prince, Monarch Qin's enlistment fleet. The young master called Young Master Qi had a solemn expression. Once he succeeds, the structure of Baoyu Nation will change. We will have to restart the relationship we established. It will not be a blessing for our merchant group. Young Master Qi is right. Our Jingwu merchant group has shares from the Legalism, Lei, Fan, and many other aristocratic families. Those princes are not on good terms with 19th Prince. Once 19th Prince gains power, he will definitely suppress us. How are we going to continue doing business then? Said another young master. We still have to listen to the head shopkeeper. Young Master Qi frowned. It's not something we can turn around. At this moment, a young servant girl walked out. Shopkeepers, the head shopkeeper wants you in. Yes, understood. The young masters immediately became respectful. They walked into the cabin and went up to the upper floors. Although this large ship was far inferior to the Wild Shark ship, it still had a few floors. The highest floor was very mysterious, and it was where the head shopkeeper lived. When they entered the top floor, they saw a veiled young girl. She was the head shopkeeper of the Jingwu merchant group. She was actually a young girl. Head shopkeeper, what are your orders? The young masters bowed. The recruitment of Baoyu Nation this time involves our merchant group's jade business. We can't neglect it. What do you think? Asked the veiled young girl. We were also discussing it just now, but we still have to listen to the head shopkeeper's orders. Head shopkeeper is a peerless scholar and has led the Jingwu merchant group to prosperity. If it wasn't for the suppression of the Imperial Court's Heavenly Designer Institute, our merchant group would have long become the #1 merchant group, said young Master Qi. The Heavenly Designer Institute was established by the Imperial Court. They're all old experts. We can't compare to them. The veiled young girl said, especially the two old fellows, Ghost Axe and Godcraft. One is the supreme ancestor of the Yama sect, and the other is the founder of the original Sin sect. Their cultivation is already comparable to that of a god. However, these two old fellows are nearing the end of their lifespans. They have no choice but to rely on the Heavenly Talisman Emperor to extend their lifespans. Actually, these old fellows all have the same problem. If they betray the Heavenly Talisman Emperor, their cultivation will dissipate. Many young masters felt that the veiled young girl's words were far from the topic, but they listened quietly and didn't dare to interrupt. Chapter 217. But now, the court has established the Department of Calmness with Liu Baiwei, 19th Prince, and 4th Prince as the leaders. They haven't matured yet, but they have great potential. The veiled girl said, this is the court's way of balancing. The Celestial Designer Institute is full of old people, while the Department of Calmness is full of young people. The two sides will definitely oppose each other. This is our chance. Manager is right. 19th Prince is a core figure of the Department of Calmness. Does this mean the Celestial Designer Institute will benefit us? Won't they suppress us? Young Master Qi said. Our Wu clan's old ancestor will go and discuss some important matters with the two old fellows of the uncanny workmanship. Recently, the world has been in turmoil with the descent of the demonic star. Some experts that are proficient in the Heaven Dao are getting restless. The Heavenly Talisman, Great Arch, has lost his absolute suppression. The veiled girl said, but we can't offend the Department of Calmness. 19th Prince is no small matter. 2 years ago, he was mocked by the world for not eating meat. Now no one laughs at him. Everyone knows he's hiding his strength and biding his time. Look at what he's done. Hatching the black tortoise, establishing a fief, contacting the immortal Tao, subduing the venomous poison sect, killing the Thunder Beast King. He's far more capable than the other princes. His cultivation is improving too fast. He killed the Thunder Beast King in just 2 years. Did the Celestial Talisman Emperor impart his strength to him? A young master said. His cultivation base is secondary. Look at his actions. The construction of his fief, the way he uses his subordinates. He's extremely magnanimous, respectful to the wise, and meticulous in his treatment of others. We can't underestimate him. The heavenly talisman Immortal Emperor might be trying to nurture his character. The veiled girl said, "If he comes this time, I'll go see him after we dock. If he gives the Jingwu merchant group a chance, it won't be a big deal. But will the enlistment be successful?" Young Master Chi said, "I heard the Great Wei dynasty's envoys are colluding with the king. The envoy from the Tai mystical sect is also urging against it. It's hard to say. Let's wait and see. But as long as the Celestial Talisman Emperor is still around, the enlistment shouldn't be a problem." The veiled girl waved her hand. "I have some arrangements." Frost Jade Dew was spinning a jade ball on the Wild Shark ship. It was her Jade God's Eye. On the Jade God's Eye, a fleet appeared on the surface of the ocean. This fleet is actually armored. It's rare for a merchant group to have such a powerful fleet. Gu Qinsha asked, "Whose merchant group is this?" "Your Highness, this is the merchant ship of the Scenic Wu Merchant Association. It is one of the best merchant associations among the people. The initiators are the Jing clan and the Wu clan, but there are also aristocratic clans such as the Legalism clan, the Lei clan, the Hong clan, and the Fan clan." Gu Qinsha had refined the eyes of the jade deity of the frost jade Dew once again, and it was very mysterious. However, when she used the ball to observe the caravan, the main ship was pitch black, as though it was covered by some kind of spell. She couldn't see what the people inside were doing. The Jing clan is a first-rate clan, while the Wu clan is a true sage clan, belonging to the direct line of the martial saint. Thousands of years ago, he established the Great Wu Dynasty, and it was the strongest dynasty in the history of the Great Wu Dynasty, excluding the current dynasty. It defeated the Berserkers time and time again. Long Yiyun said, "The Dragon Transformation Pagoda was also forged by the Martial Emperor. Later on, Yuan Shasheng found the remains of this pagoda, and it fell into the hands of your highness. I remember that the Wu clan is a sage clan that doesn't have a marriage alliance with Imperial Father." Gu Qinsha asked. The women of the Legalism clan, Fan clan, and Hung clan all entered the harem and became the empress and concubines of the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. However, the Wu clan didn't, and they didn't even have any officials in the imperial court. This was a clear indication of their attitude. The Wu clan didn't want to cooperate with the imperial court. However, the Wu clan had a strong foundation, and the imperial court didn't want to be enemies with them for the time being. In addition, the Wu clan was rather law-abiding and low-profile, not giving the imperial court a chance to make things difficult for them. The Wu clan has never cooperated with the imperial court. Long Yiyun said, "The current manager of the Scenic Wu Merchant Association is a young miss of the Wu clan called Wu Dankong." Wu Dankong, this name sounds like a man. Gu Qinsha laughed. "This woman is very mysterious, and her talent is extraordinary. Ever since she took over, the Scenic Wu Merchant Association has been thriving. Other than the Celestial Designer Institute, it can be said to be number one among the common people." Long Yiyun said, "She has a fiancé called Jing Fanxing, who cultivates in the number one Celestial Dao sect, the Black Heaven Earth sect. It is rumored that he is also an extremely powerful character." "I know." Gu Qinsha nodded. "What is the aptitude of this woman?" "I don't know, because she has never displayed her cultivation. However, many young masters of aristocratic clans have been roped in by her, listening to her every word. Moreover, this woman has never revealed her appearance, always wearing a veil. But looking at her management of the Merchant Association, she has unknowingly grasped many economic lifelines, far surpassing us." Yuhanlu said, "Even surpassing you?" Gu Qinsha first nodded. "You are a genius, and your business is extremely amazing. These days, my business has been relying on you. It seems that this woman's aptitude is another dragon's eye, Fei." "It's possible." Yuhanlu nodded. "The Scenic Wu Merchant Association has a great influence in the trade of our Baoyu country. If your highness succeeds in recruiting them, they will definitely come to us. If they lose Baoyu country, their business will shrink greatly. Even their business with the celestial Tao sects will stop. The celestial Tao sects had a great demand for precious jade. Not to mention the gold powder and jade shavings needed for alchemy. It was impossible to set up formations and build pavilions without precious jade. What obstacles do you think this recruitment will face? Gu Qinsha asked Yuhan Lu. These days, when he was cultivating on the sea, Yuhan Lu and her trusted subordinates in Baoyu country had learned a lot through sea rocks. After your highness defeated Guhua, although the envoy group of Great Wei dynasty did not withdraw, they did not do much. On the other hand, more and more celestial Tao sect disciples of Tai Fantasy sect have come. They seem to have received the news that we are coming and want to give us a show of strength. Yuhan Lu had an expression of wisdom on her face. But how can they compare with our current power? That's right. As long as it's not those old fogies in Tai Fantasy sect, I can definitely defeat them. Gu Qinsha's aptitude had increased to that of a peerless talent. The power of Dragon Gate had increased by 80%, and his realm had reached the 9th change realm of Tao realm. With his own power, he could basically look down on the younger generation. I wonder how is Fa Wuxian? The last time he fought with Baiyu in Buzhou Palace, he did not gain the upper hand, but his strength is still very terrifying. However, even if I meet this person now, I might still be able to put up a fight. If he wants to defeat me in an instant, it will not be so easy. Gu Qinsha had the intention to fight with Fa Wuxian to test his strength. That day, in his castle, his cultivation base was low, and his aptitude was only above average. Now, with his painstaking efforts, his cultivation base had increased by 100 times, and his aptitude had also increased to that of a peerless talent. Although he was still far from a natural saint, he was not as desperate as before. Sooner or later, I will steal the Emperor's energy of Great Wei dynasty and increase my aptitude to that of a natural saint. If I still can't change my aptitude and fate with the heavenly talisman, then I would be too stupid. Gu Qinsha had the heavenly sacrificial talisman and could exchange it for anything that couldn't be found in the world. If he didn't even know how to use it, then he might as well kill himself. Since that Guhua was defeated by Prince, will Prince show up this time? Yuhan Lu asked. It's better to hide. Gu Qinsha waved his hand. There's still the Tai Fantasy sect that we haven't dealt with. This time, the two of you will still be in charge. Justice will hide behind us. If there's an opponent that we can't handle, the Xuanwu baby and I will come out and launch a sneak attack. I don't believe that there will be another 18 changes Golden Dan Great Tao expert. There aren't many people at this level, even in the 72 immortal sections. If one could not die after reaching the Golden Dan Great Tao, then there would be many experts around the world. Unfortunately, even if one reached the Golden Dan Great Tao, he could only live for 1,000 years. Within 1,000 years, there wouldn't be many Golden Dan Great Tao experts. In front of us is the largest dock of our Baoyu country. Yuhan Lu pointed to the front. We will dock there and reorganize our troops. Then, we will go to the Imperial Palace. I want to meet my father tonight. I'm afraid it's not that simple. Gu Qinsha saw that many Baoyu countries' military ships had already surged up beside the dock. It seemed like they didn't want his fleet to dock. On the dock, pairs of soldiers had already gathered. From beginning to end, there were still some experts hidden among the soldiers. At the same time, many soldiers pushed out huge iron carriages, which were loaded with cannons. Interesting. Gu Qinsha smiled. At the same time, in the northwest of the Great Yonko, there was a huge prefecture called the Wu Prefecture. The Wu Prefecture was vast, and the people there worshipped martial arts. It was even more so than the Xian Prefecture. Almost every child in every household knew a few moves, and there were countless martial arts experts. Many landlords and local tycoons liked to hire people from the Wu Prefecture as bodyguards. And the Wu clan was the largest aristocratic family in the Wu Prefecture. In ancient times, there was a saint, the martial sage. The Wu clan was so powerful that even the imperial court feared it. Even when the governor of the Wu Prefecture was celebrating the new year in the Heavenly Talisman dynasty, he would visit the Wu clan. The Wu clan occupied a few mountains in the center of the Wu Prefecture: Yangwu Mountain, Yuan Wu Mountain, True Wu Mountain, Martial Transformation Mountain, and Taiwo Mountain. These 5 mountains covered an area of 1,000 miles in radius. The 5 mountains were like a palm, towering above the earth. The peaks were beautiful, the waterfalls were like dragons, and the lakes were deep. It was a picturesque scene. It was unknown how many secrets it contained. In the mountains, there were luxurious palaces built for the disciples of the Wu clan. At the foot of the mountains were fertile fields that stretched out endlessly. They were all neatly divided, and there were houses in between the fields, which were guarded by people. The terrain was hidden in a formation. Just at this moment, an old man appeared in the sky. He looked at the 5 mountains within a radius of 1,000 li and could not help but nod. The martial sage is truly amazing, moving the mountains and moving the 5 spiritual mountains here to create a heaven and earth fortune formation for the benefit of his descendants. As he spoke, he lightly tapped the air in front of him. Ripples appeared in the void, as if the void had been opened. Lord Ghost Axe is above my Wu clan. Your presence brings light to our humble dwelling. A voice came from the void. Chapter 218. That old man was one of the Heavenly Designer Institute's top leaders, Ghost Axe. He had lived for countless years. Now that he had arrived at the Wu clan, he could tell that the layout of the Wu clan was filled with unfathomable mysteries. Well said, well said. Ghost Axe walked into the crack and saw a small world floating in the air like a bubble. This was the foundation of the Wu clan, Martial Saint's Utopia. It was opened by the Martial Saint a long time ago. After countless generations of Wu clan's experts perfected it, it had become an otherworldly place. Ghost Axe saw that this small world was filled with exotic flowers and rare ancient beasts. There were also many experts hiding here, breathing in and out, adding energy to this world. The Wu clan had spent their entire life's efforts on this small world, and it was unbreakable. At the center of the small world, there was a tall pagoda. Ghost Axe landed at the top of the pagoda and saw an old man sitting there. His hair and beard were all white. Even his eyebrows were white. This was the Wu clan's most senior antique, King Wu Yu. The current Wu clan's patriarch was his grandson's grandson's grandson. King Wu Yu, looks like your lifespan is about to run out. With your cultivation, I'm afraid no heavenly treasures will be able to prolong your life. This is fate. Ghost Axe said. Ghost Axe, are you here to persuade me to follow the Heavenly Talisman Emperor? King Wu Yu smiled. Life and death are small matters. I've lived for thousands of years. It's already very faint. Life and death are small matters? Ha. Ghost Axe laughed. Life and death are the most important matters in this world. If I die, what meaning does this world have to me? This world was born for me. When I close my eyes, this world no longer exists. When I open my eyes, this world will reform. I am the real one. Everything else exists for me. This is the core of your demonic Tao's thinking. King Wu Yu said, I won't argue with you about this. I heard that the Heavenly Talisman Emperor made a bunch of juniors establish the Calmness Immortal Bureau to oppose your Heavenly Designer Institute. What do you think? That's the Emperor's will. Ghost Axe said, moreover, we're all dying of old age. It's time for the younger generation to shine. Demon Axe, are you really that open-minded? King Wu Yu's eyebrows twitched. Let's not beat around the bush. You must have come for something important. Of course. Ghost Axe pointed at the sky. The heavens and earth are in turmoil. The demon star is descending. This is unprecedented. I'm afraid that a great change is about to happen. It's time to choose a side. You want our Wu clan to submit to the Heavenly Talisman Emperor? King Wu Yu laughed. How should we submit? I think you can only live for a few decades at most, not even 60 years. Black vortexes appeared in Ghost Axe's eyes as he saw through some sort of life and death law. You've used all sorts of heaven-defying forbidden techniques to increase your lifespan, causing many tribulations. You still dare to say that life and death is a small matter? You so-called righteous people are too hypocritical. Whatever you say, King Wu Yu didn't seem to care. I am very curious. How did the Heavenly Talisman Emperor extend your lifespan? In this world, only the prehistoric dragon sect and the Heaven Sacrificial Talisman can do this. Could it be that he has obtained one of these two supreme divine weapons? His Majesty doesn't need these things. A disdainful smile appeared on Ghost Axe's face. I have an imperial edict here. As long as you accept it and kowtow, you will be able to increase your lifespan by 1,000 years. How about it? As he spoke, Ghost Axe unfurled an imperial edict with a few sentences written on it. King Wuyu, this emperor will grant you 1,000 years of lifespan. If you accept this edict, send Wu Dangkong to the palace. What? Just this imperial edict can grant me 1,000 years of lifespan? King Wuyu's expression changed. Also, that little girl Wu Dangkong, what does she want? I know that even the legendary Heaven Sacrifice Decree requires a great sacrifice to increase the lifespan of a person like you, and the price is no small matter. Gui Fu said, but think about it, with His Majesty's status, would he lie to you? Ever since His Majesty started cultivating, he has been invincible. Even the heavenly Daos couldn't do anything to him. Ask yourself honestly, since ancient times, who is stronger than His Majesty? Why does Heavenly Talisman Emperor want Wu Dangkong? King Wu Yu's expression was ugly. But I don't know. Perhaps it's to show your Wu clan's sincerity. Ghost Axe said indifferently. The legalism, Fan, Hung Lei, and Hong clans all have women entering the palace as concubines. Your Wu clan will not be an exception, right? Wu Dangkong is just an ordinary female descendant of the clan. If Heavenly Talisman Emperor wants my Wu clan's women, I can find someone more outstanding to replace her. King Wu Yu hurriedly said, you can't be thinking that His Majesty doesn't know Wu Dangkong's identity, right? Ghost Axe sneered. Wu Dangkong, the sun and moon in the sky, roaming the world. This name is not simple. The martial saint's prophecy should be based on this woman. Lord Ghost Axe must be joking. King Wu Yu laughed. Enough. Ghost Axe waved his hand. What the martial saint can see, His Majesty can also see. What the martial saint can't see, His Majesty can also see. Even if the 7 great sages of the human race were revived, they would not be able to see as clearly as His Majesty. His Majesty is doing this for your Wu clan. Take care of yourself. I'll leave the imperial edict here. If you accept it, you must kowtow to it. If you don't, the edict will automatically burn. But your Wu clan is not respecting His Majesty's edict and has fallen out with the imperial court. Do as you see fit. As he spoke, Ghost Axe disappeared. King Wu Yu looked at the edict and fell into deep thought. He knew that as long as he kowtowed and accepted the edict, his lifespan would increase by 1,000 years. Although this was inconceivable to him, he knew that it was not a lie. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor would not use such a thing to trick him. An imperial edict can increase my lifespan by 1,000 years? King Wu Yu silently pondered, his heart struggling. On the sea, near the Baoyu Nation's pier, many Baoyu Nation's ships surrounded the pier. Cannons and soldiers gathered at the pier, preventing Gu Chencha's fleet from docking. Gu Chensha looked on coldly. Don't worry, King Wu Yu. I'll go take a look. Yu Hanlu led her men to the deck. When she saw the Baoyu Nation's ships approaching, she shouted, Where is the Navy Marshal Yu Quan? How dare you block my merchant ships? Who gave you the guts? 7th Princess, please forgive me. Yu Quan is here. At this moment, in the center of the hundreds of ships, there was a huge ironclad ship. There was a martial flag on the ship, and a man stood under the flag. He was handsome and wore jade armor. He spoke, This is His Majesty's order. Recently, the situation is serious and tense. I order the Baoyu Nation's navy to strengthen their defenses. If there are any abnormalities, capture them immediately. How dare you? Yu Hanlu's voice boomed. Since you know it's me, why don't you disperse? My apologies, 7th Princess. Yu Quan was not flustered. You are now an official of the Yonko Nation. First, you are a suspect. This time you brought such a strong fleet. For the safety of my Baoyu Nation, I have to stop you. If 7th Princess is innocent, Please head to the palace alone. Leave this fleet at sea and let me take over temporarily. How about it? Once His Majesty gives the order, I will return it." "What a joke." Cold Jade laughed. "Yuquan, this time you have rebelled against your superiors. Your crime is unforgivable. It seems like I have to capture you first, your small navy. How can you contend against my fleet? As long as I make a move, you will be destroyed. However, I do not wish for my nation's soldiers to be harmed. I shall capture you." As she spoke, Yu Hanlu's body floated in the air. With the help of her Xiantian Gang Qi, she flew like an arrow across the vast sea towards the fleet. His Highness really foresees things. Long Yun looked at the changes. If we come here openly and cause such a ruckus, people will think that Baoyu Nation is rebelling against the heavenly army. If the imperial court spread the news, we will be in a tough spot. Now, there is internal strife within Baoyu Nation. Yu Hanlu's cultivation is already at Dao Realm Transformation 7. It is enough to deal with these people. Gu Chansha sat there calmly. "I think that Yuquan is only at Dao Realm Transformation 4. He is definitely not her match, but we have to be wary of Tai Xian's sect." The basic strength of a barbarian race 9-star general was between Dao Realm Transformation 3 to Dao Realm Transformation 5. Yuquan was Baoyu Nation's 9-star general, and his cultivation was similar. Baoyu Nation was a small country and had limited experts. "I will support you at any time." Long Zaifei and Yi Zheng got onto the deck and looked at Yu Hanlu flying in the air. In the blink of an eye, she got close to the fleet. At that moment, many bows and crossbows started to give off creaking sounds. In an instant, the rain of arrows was as dense as a swarm of locusts, shooting towards the frost jade dew in the air. These people are just too bold. Long Yiyun was furious. Hanlu is the 7th princess of Baoyu country, and these troops actually dare to use arrows to shoot at her. How rebellious. Rage flashed in Gu Chencha's eyes. Since Yu Hanlu followed Gu Chensha, her cultivation had skyrocketed. During this period of sailing, Gu Chansha used the sun and moon dragon energy to help her cultivate treasures and clear her acupoints. She also consumed the Xinhuang pill that Gu Hua left behind to refine it, allowing her to reach Dao Realm Transformation 7. Moreover, the Jade God I also transformed, allowing her strength to increase by a lot. She was in the air, and Xiantian energy wrapped around her body. The moment the arrows touched it, they turned to dust and weren't able to harm her at all. Pung pung pung. Just at that moment, numerous concentrated cannon-like sounds rang out. Many soldiers surged out from the ships with pitch-black spears in their hands. Instantly, bullets shot out and slashed through the air, causing explosions around Yu Hanlu. Fire Talisman Spear. Gu Chencha's killing intent appeared. Who sold the Heavenly Craft Institute's Fire Talisman Spear to Baoyu country? How bold! The Fire Talisman Spear was made by the Heavenly Craft Institute, and it was really strong. Even a martial artist could kill a Dao Realm Transformation 2 expert. The bullets contained strong explosive and penetrative power. The range was really far, and from thousands of steps away, even rocks would be blown apart. If dozens of people randomly shot with the spear, even if one had copper skin and iron bones, one wouldn't be able to block it and would be ripped apart. Chapter 219. Fire Talisman Spears had been a taboo item more than a year ago, and only Lu Baiyue had been able to get her hands on some. But after the war between the imperial court and the barbarians, many princes also began to possess them. Gradually, the Fire Talisman Spear spread. However, it was only some aristocratic families who kept a few for their collection. Some martial arts experts bought them for a large sum of money to use as self-defense weapons. For them to appear in the army on such a large scale was a serious problem. Clearly, there was a major power in the imperial court that was engaged in the military arms business. A few names immediately flashed through Gu Chencha's mind. Now that the Great Yonko was at war with the barbarians, if these people could sell the Fire Talisman Spears to Baoyu country, then they could sell them to the barbarians. This would cause a lot of casualties to the ordinary army. Right now, The morale of the Imperial Court's army was high because of the Horned Dragon armor and the Fire Talisman spear. With these two artifacts, anyone who had learned a bit of martial arts would be able to use them to deal with martial arts masters, or even people who had reached the first or second transformation of the Dao realm. The strong physique of the barbarian tribe and their cavalry were like paper in front of this armor and Fire Talisman spear. Even now, as the Frost Jade, Du flew through the air and activated her Sciention astral energy, thousands of Fire Talisman spears shot out at the same time. The concentrated bullets exploded on her astral energy, causing her body to be hindered and her Yuan Qi to become a little chaotic. Damn it, Cold Jade Du was also angry. She had a very high status in Precious Jade Country and was the third most important person in the country. She was second only to the Crown Prince. Today, she was besieged by her own army. At that moment, she let out a long whistle, and her innate gang Qi suddenly doubled. All the bullets from the Fire Talisman spear were knocked away in an instant. Her speed also increased, and she had already arrived on top of the ship. After all, she was already at Dao Realm Transformation 7 and looked down on mortals. She had many fortuitous encounters and was groomed by Gu Qinsha. Even two normal Dao Realm Transformation 7 cultivators combined might not be her match. She leaped onto the ship, and no one could stop her. She grabbed Yuquan directly. As the saying goes, to catch the bandits, first catch the ringleader. However, Yuquan's expression did not change. He only smiled and did not panic in the slightest. Instead, he seemed to have a card up his sleeve. Rumble. Just as the Frost Jade Du was about to grab him, a person appeared behind Yuquan. This person's face was a faint golden color and didn't seem to be made of flesh or blood. His eyes were cold and callous, and there was no aura of a human at all. Facing the Frosty Jade Du, he reached out and grabbed it. Instantly, the Frosty Jade Du felt all of her astral energy leaking out of her, as if she were being sucked dry. Tai golden body, Tai 10 hell changes. Yuhan Lu was shocked. Which elder of Tai fantasy sect are you? She wanted to retreat, but it was useless. She couldn't escape this grasp at all. The pale golden man did not reply. He actually wanted to kill the Frosty Jade Du. But at this moment, two people appeared behind the Frosty Jade Du. One was very young, and the other looked like a barbarian priest. It was Justice who had made a move. He had two bodies. One was his original body, and the other was the unparalleled genius Li Yaoyong. Both of them were extremely powerful. Of course, he would not let the Frosty Jade Du be killed by this person. As the Pope of the Hell Serpent Temple, Yi Zhang's cultivation was tyrannical beyond compare. This time, he did not show any mercy. He immediately activated the sun-devouring boss serpent technique. Rumble. An even stronger suction force erupted from his body. Pucci. The pale golden man's face changed dramatically. His skin split open, and a large amount of golden blood was sucked out of his pores. How dare you hurt my master's subordinate? Daoist Tai He. I want to see whose suction force is stronger, your Tai 10 hell changes or my sun-devouring boss serpent technique. I'm going to suck out your primordial spirit, Yi Zhang said viciously. Don't you dare. The pale golden man was called Daoist Tai He. He was a powerful figure in Tai fantasy sect. Although he was very powerful, he could not compare to Yi Zhang. Yi Zhang was an expert at the 17th transformation, splitting spirit separation. He was only one step away from achieving the golden core of the Great Path. This Daoist Tai, he was only at the 14th transformation, and his primordial spirit was out of his body. Dying. Yi Zhang ignored the Daoist Tai He's threat. His two bodies grabbed the Daoist Tai He's arms, wanting to suck him dry. Stop. At this moment, an angry roar came from the ship. Then, sword lights shot over like a tide. At least dozens of disciples formed a large formation and released their flying swords, stabbing towards Yi Zhang. A bunch of chickens and dogs. Yi Zhang saw the flying swords. Suddenly, a huge Khanate Gangchi snake appeared in front of him. This huge snake had a horn on its head. It opened its mouth and sucked hard. All the flying swords were sucked into the huge snake's stomach. They were broken up and turned into a metal ball. Then, the huge snake fixed its eyes on the disciples and sucked again. It was going to eat all the disciples of Tai fantasy sect. Leluha is really powerful. Gu Qinsha watched Yi Zheng's great performance from afar. He remembered that it was actually Wen Hong who subdued Yi Zheng. Later on, he was controlled by Lu Baiwei. There was no real life-and-death battle with Yi Zheng. Now, it seemed that the Pope of Hell, Serpent Temple, was really extraordinary. No golden core of the Great Path cultivator could suppress this person. He used his Khanate Gang Qi to form the sun-devouring boss serpent and swept across the sky. It could almost devour everything and destroy any magic treasure. That's enough. Jade Frost stopped Yi Zheng from doing that. If they devoured those disciples of Tai fantasy sect and this Taiha elder, they would have a great hatred for Tai fantasy sect. Therefore, they had to enlist Baoyu country as their priority. When the situation stabilized, they would deal with Tai fantasy sect slowly. Yi Zheng dispersed all his astral energy, grabbed Elder Tai He, and threw him onto the deck. Those disciples also had their essence energy sucked away by him, and they all fainted. Tai fantasy sect dares to go against the imperial court? Yi Zheng sneered. Daoist Taiha, your cultivation base is not bad. Unfortunately, you're still too young to stand out. My lord wants to enlist Baoyu country. This is the general trend. If you dare to stop him, you'll die. Yu Quan. Yuhan Lu looked at Admiral Yu Quan with a look of pity on her face. Who bewitched you to actually dare to block my merchant ship? You even tried to attack me. 7th Princess, I advise you not to follow the 19th Prince of Yonko. Yonko won't last long. Yu Quan kept retreating, but his words were tough. Whoosh! The moment he finished speaking, his huge head flew into the air. Yuhan Lu's Khanate Gang Qi turned into a saber light and killed him. Clean and neat. You actually killed me. Yu Quan's head fell to the ground, his face filled with disbelief. He would never believe that Yuhan Lu would do such a thing. You deserve to die for offending your superiors. Yuhan Lu ignored him and suddenly raised her voice. Yu Quan rebelled and tried to assassinate this princess. He was killed by this princess on the spot. All of you who rebelled just now, quickly come out and put down your weapons. This princess can spare your lives. If you're stubborn, you'll end up like Yu Quan. We were seduced by scoundrels. Our sins are unforgivable. At that moment, many of the admirals knelt down. Yuhan Lu held a high position in Baoyu country. She was the leader of her party and had many supporters in the army. Now that she had killed Yu Quan, many of the admirals who were wavering in their hearts finally came to their senses. Bring the fleet ashore, control the navy, and clear the dock. Yuhan Lu gave the order. Instantly, all the ships gathered and the troops jumped onto the Baoyu country ships to take over. In just a short while, all the navy was accepted and the huge fleet pressed towards the dock. There were many troops on the dock and there were even cannons. However, the soldiers didn't know what to do. Senior brother, what should we do? The disciples of Tai fantasy sect who were behind the soldiers hurriedly retreated. Although they had good cultivation bases, they knew that they were no match for them when they saw the huge, sun-swallowing boss serpent gang Qi and the capture of Taiha Daoist, who had reached 14 changes of the Dao realm. Leave this place and report back to the sect to let them send stronger experts. The leader of the disciples knew how powerful they were. The one who attacked just now was the former Pope of the Hell Serpent Temple. This person was subdued by Lu Baiwei of the Department of Tranquil Immortals. He stole the temple's divine artifact, the Swallowing Sun Bash Pouch, from the Hell Serpent Temple, causing the temple to suffer heavy losses. We are no match for such a person. This disciple had cultivated to the 7th transformation of the Dao realm and was an amazing person. He had good eyesight and was able to see through many things. They left quietly and actually didn't care about the Taiha Daoist on the ship. Yuhan Lu and Long Yiyun's army arrived at the dock and subdued many of the troops there. If it was an outsider, these troops would have fought to the death. However, Yuhan Lu was one of the heirs of Baoyu country, and this was just a palace coup. On the desolate shark ship, Gu Chansha looked at the situation at the dock quietly. After a few hours, Long Yuyun came in to report. Lord, we have taken control of the navy and the dock. What should we do next? Please give us instructions. Leave the fleet here and control the dock. We will bring experts to the capital of Baoyu country. There is no need to use an army. We are here to recruit them and not to attack. Gu Chunsha analyzed the situation. As for the people from Tai Fantasy Sect, lock them up and control them with talismans. Tai Fantasy Sect won't dare to attack us. Yes. Long Yun immediately went out to make arrangements. Gu Chincha's body moved, and he hid himself as he followed behind her. It was not suitable for him to show himself now. He had cultivated the 9 changes Dao Realm glass jade body and used the sun and moon talisman to hide himself. He had no aura at all, and it was like he was walking in another parallel space. At this moment, his cultivation was terrifying. He was not afraid of any hidden experts coming to deal with him. Even if it was someone above the Golden Dan Great Dao Realm, he was confident that he could test his methods. The aptitude of an unparalleled genius was not fake. Yu Hanlu, Yi Zheng, Long Zhaifei, and Long Yin took 100 followers and set off for the capital of Baoyu country. Along the way, there was no one to stop them. Of course, they could not. Just Yi Zheng alone could wipe out all the experts in Baoyu country. There was no one stronger than Yi Zheng in the entire Baoyu country. Even some of the old antiques of the Yu family, who cultivated in seclusion, could not cultivate the Golden Dan Great Dao. Very soon, they arrived outside the capital. The capital was actually built with white jade. It was like a heavenly palace. The ground was also paved with green jade. Of course, the quality was low, but it was jade after all. Chapter 220. The national style of Baoyu is indeed very luxurious. I didn't see any destitute or starving people along the way. Every family lives in a spacious hall, and they all use jadeware. Even the water tanks in some people's houses are made of jade. Gu Qinsha was not idle either. He observed the geography of Baoyu Nation and found that the entire land was full of unparalleled vitality. Using the sun-moon dragon eyes, he found that deep in the earth, the spirit qi was thick. Countless jade mines were entangled like dragons, deep in the earth's veins. It was almost impossible to mine them all. And in the nearby seabed, there were also jade mines that had formed mountains in the deep sea. The entire land of Baoyu Nation and some of the blessed lands were about the same, especially the capital, which was the strongest point of the land. The architect of the city was also an expert, and he had designed the capital in the shape of a lotus flower. The petals bloomed and took root in the ground, absorbing the energy of the jade mines to nourish the royal family. Baoyu Nation was much stronger than the other overseas nations. It was a pity that there was no truly powerful person who had cultivated to the Golden Core Great Path. Otherwise, their status would be much higher. After all, Golden Core Great Path characters could live for at least 1,000 years. They could protect their families for a long time, and that was enough for them to prosper. Even the old-timers wouldn't want to force a Gold Core cultivator into a corner. After all, if another old-timer took advantage of the situation to save the Gold Core cultivator and cause the Gold Core cultivator to join another sect, it would be very troublesome in the future. Furthermore, the self-detonation of a Gold Core would be extremely destructive. This time, Gu Chansha had let the Black Tortoise sneak attack to capture the Golden Core and bring it into the Sun-Moon altar. This had caused Gu to lose contact with the Golden Core. Otherwise, it would not have been so easy to subdue the other. Our capital is in the shape of a lotus with 108 petals, in accordance with the number of heavenly spirits and earthly fiends. It corresponds to the stars above and the earth's veins below. The 36 heavenly spirits communicate with the heavens, and the 72 earthly fiends communicate with the earth's veins. When combined, the winds and clouds will surge. It is unstoppable. Frost Jade stood at the city gate, secretly explaining to Gu Qinsha. Although Gu Qinsha had hidden himself, Frost Jade knew he was behind. At this time, the city gate opened and a guard of honor walked out. The leader was a man in his 30s, wearing a jade crown and a dragon robe. Seventh sister has returned. When I received the news, I immediately organized a guard of honor to welcome her. The man opened his arms and smiled from ear to ear. So, what's your highness? Cold Jade did not bow. At the pier, you already welcomed me once. Is there a need to put on an act this time? Seventh sister has misunderstood me. The crown prince of precious jade country acted as if nothing had happened. I just received news that Yu Quan was bewitched by a traitor. He actually dared to offend seventh sister's jade chariot. This crime is unforgivable. Seventh younger sister, killing him is truly satisfying. There's no need to ruin the relationship between us siblings because of this vile person. Gu Chunshao watched coldly from the back, nodding in his heart. This Yu Huang's character is deep, sinister, and cunning. He truly lives up to his reputation. The crown prince of Baoyu country was called Yu Huang. His appearance, personality, and how he usually did things had all been investigated. Gu Chunshao had seen it before. However, no matter how many schemes he had, they were all useless in the face of absolute power. This time, Gu Chunshao had first defeated Gu Hua, a golden Dandao powerhouse, and then captured the elder of Tai fantasy sect, Tai Daoist. If this crown prince of Baoyu country was not tactful, he would not be able to escape death. However, he would not be careless. He had warned Cold Jade in advance that Tai fantasy sect and Great Wei dynasty would not let this go. Apart from that, other forces might also come to have share of the loot. After entering Baoyu country for an investigation, Gu Chunshao felt that this country was not ordinary. The jade mines were endless treasures. It seemed that since ancient times, Jade Deity and Tai fantasy sect had signed some kind of contract, allowing Yu Clan to guard this place for generations. Otherwise, it would have long been taken away by some powerful forces. Where's father? Cold Jade asked. Father is in the palace. Crown Prince Yu Huang hurriedly said, he's gathering all the officials to discuss something important. Let's go in together and see what Baoyu country will do in the future. That's fine. Cold Jade glanced at the group of people who came out with the crown prince. Some of them nodded, indicating that they were her people. The group entered the capital city and followed the main road all the way to the royal palace in the center of the city. The royal palace had also prepared a ceremonial guard and an army. They were all dressed in jade armor and gave off an extremely strong aura. There were many Dao realm experts in Baoyu country, and they were all cultivated by Mei Yu. Indeed, the officials were gathered in the main hall of the royal palace. An old man sat on the throne. He was the king of Baoyu country, Cold Jade's father. On the left and right sides of him were the officials of the imperial court. Some of these officials looked worried, some happy, and some confused. They already knew that they were going to be recruited. Your daughter pays her respects to father. Cold Jade bowed to the king, while Long Yuyun and the others stood. They had high Yonko official positions, so they naturally would not bow to the king of a small country. However, Cold Jade still had to bow to the king. Cold Jade, you're here. I'll let Huang Er go out to welcome you. You brothers should not have any conflicts. The king's face was expressionless as he gestured for Cold Jade to stand up. Father, your daughter has returned to discuss the matter of being recruited. Cold Jade did not delay. She knew that she had to finish this matter as soon as possible. There were still many things waiting for her at the calming immortal department. What does Huang Er think? The king asked Crown Prince Yu Huang. I feel that this matter needs to be handled by the Crown Prince, Gu Chunshao. Crown Prince Yu Huang said, let's see if the Yonko has any sincerity and what conditions he can offer. Our ancestors and the Jade Deity have signed an agreement with the Tai mystical sect. Now, the Tai mystical sect and the Jade Deity are not letting us recruit them. Crown Prince, your words are ridiculous. Cold Jade immediately said, Father, the Yonko is powerful now. Even the barbarian gods have been sealed by His Majesty. The 72 mystical sects of the immortal Tao have all submitted. Who can compete? If we submit now, we can still fight for enough benefits. But when the barbarians are vanquished and the overseas countries are annexed, we will be a lone army overseas. We cannot even protect our clans. This humble subject agrees. At this time, Cold Jade Dew's official came out to speak. Throughout the 10 years of the Yonko, those who submit have never been mistreated. Those who resist have all been annihilated by the Imperial Tao. This subject agrees as well. The Yonko is already unstoppable. Add to that the fact that the 19th prince in charge of recruiting is favored by the Heavenly Talisman Emperor and is even in charge of the calming immortal department. Furthermore, the 19th prince's cultivation is extremely powerful. I heard that he has the Black Tortoise accompanying him in his fief. He could kill the Thunder Beast King, Thunder Wuxia, all by himself. He is already one of the strongest among the princes. Now that the 7th princess is an official in the Yonko and has submitted to the 19th prince, she has even entered the calming immortal department. In time to come, we will be able to gain even more benefits. Moreover, the Yonko has promised us to guard the treasured Jade Nation for generations to come. It is a fief, and we can even obtain the support of the Heavenly Designer Institute in the future. This subject objects. At this time, the opposing official stepped out. We are now kings overseas, living a carefree and unfettered life. If we are recruited, we will be bound by the Yonko-S rules and be exploited. Does everyone still remember how the first prince, Gu Hongsha, exploited us? This subject objects as well. Another official retorted. The Yonko suffered a calamity a few days ago. The earth quaked, the mountains swayed, and the divine continent sank. The demon star descended, and the world was thrown into chaos. If we were to be dragged into it, wouldn't we be seeking our own deaths? Gu Qinsha could see the intensity of the conflict between the two factions in the imperial court. It was beyond his imagination. The two factions quarreled, and the argument became more and more intense. Both sides argued until their faces were red, and spittle flew everywhere. They quarreled for a full hour before stopping, but there was still no conclusion. All right, the king felt a headache coming on. He rubbed his forehead. Today is the end of the court. Later at night, the members of the royal family shall discuss this. This matter concerns the future of the treasured Jade Nation, and we must not neglect it. Only then did the court disperse, and the officials return home. Gu Qinsha shook his head. He knew that if he did not use violence, it would be difficult to complete the recruitment. Seeing the quarrel in the court, he roughly understood the state of the treasured Jade Nation. After the court was dismissed, he returned to the 7th princess's residence and entered her study. Her study was decorated in an oppressive manner. The floor was made of expensive sea bee skin, and it felt like walking on clouds. The incense burned with special ambergris, and large pieces of jade were used as the walls and floor tiles, forming a formation. Many ancient books were placed on the wide bookshelves. There were thousands of servants in the entire residence, and it was extremely luxurious. Hanlu, your residence is not bad. It seems to be more luxurious than the castle where I set out to the sea. Gu Qinsha sat steadily on a wooden armchair. This chair was made of the strange scale-fragrant wood from the bottom of the sea. After sitting on it, his whole body was bathed in the fragrance of the sea, and he felt intoxicated. Although the castle where he set out to the sea was filled with immortal qi, little things were not very particular about it. Your Highness's residence is guarded by a divine beast. It is not something that my boudoir can compare to. Hanlu quickly reported. Your Highness has also seen that the court is in an uproar today. We need to use extreme measures to quickly recruit them. It is better to stabilize the situation. Gu Qinsha analyzed and said, It's normal for those who oppose us to do so. I'm not willing to hand over such a huge foundation to others. The most important thing is that after the enlistment, the people of Baoyu Nation will live a better life than they do now. That is the right thing to do, and there will be no chaos. I will settle these matters. In terms of military force, I have justice, and that is enough. Your Highness only needs to take charge in secret. Hanlu said. In the next few days, I will report everything to your Highness. In addition, your Highness can go around my treasured Jade Nation, especially in the nearby deep sea. You might find some good things, and even ancient treasures. Chapter 2:21. Gu Chensha observed the terrain and knew that there were many secrets hidden in the deep sea near Baoyu Nation. There were many good things in the Jade Mountains and mines. It would be a pity not to explore them. The deep sea was very dangerous. Even a Golden Dan Great Dao cultivator would find it hard to stay in the deep sea for long. The water pressure in the deep sea was no joke. It could even crush steel. In the deeper sea, the temperature was so cold that even blood would freeze. There were undercurrents and flocks of sea beasts. Many Dao realm experts had ventured into the deep sea in search of treasures, only to be trapped by the harsh environment and eventually die. The sea and the wilderness were completely different environments. In the depths of the sea, there were many unexplored treasures. However, Gu Chunsha had something to rely on: the black tortoise baby. The black tortoise was a divine beast of water and contained the laws of water. The sea was its paradise. With the protection of the black tortoise, it could enter places that martial cultivators could not enter and discover many miracles. This was an eventful time. Every bit of strength he could increase meant an extra bit of safety. Moreover, there might be restrictions set up by the Great Wei dynasty in the sea near Baoyu Nation. This was the information Gu Chansha had obtained after capturing Guhua. After discussing with Yuhan Lu, Long Yiyun, Long Zaifei, and other confidants, Gu Chansha flew up and left quietly. His current movements could be said to be stealthy. Soon, he flew to the sea near Baoyu Nation. High in the sky, his eyes flashed as he looked at the land and sea. Using the sun-moon dragon eyes, he could see that Baoyu Nation was like a big fish carrying all things in the sea. Could the entire Baoyu continent have been transformed from an ancient sea beast? Impossible. Baoyu Nation is millions of miles wide, almost the size of a prefecture in Yonko. What kind of beast could be so big? Gu Chensha laughed to himself and asked the black tortoise baby in the sun-moon altar, "There are good things in the deep-sea jade mines of Baoyu Nation. Since we are here, which place do you think has the thickest spiritual qi?" The water around Baoyu Nation is full of spiritual qi, so the fish in the water are plump and multiply endlessly. The black tortoise baby watched from the altar. The seawater in the northwest is the most different. It's the deepest there. We can go there and take a look. Gu Chensha took out a map. The borders of the precious jade country and the surrounding seas were drawn on it. Some places were marked. This was the detailed map that the frost jade dew had given him. There were many marked areas in the sea near the precious jade nation. They were areas with ancient ruins in the deep sea. There were even areas with ferocious sea beasts. Although the jade mines at the bottom of the sea were more abundant, the Baoyu Nation only mined on land because it was impossible to dive into the deep sea. Only the top experts could enter and explore. Oh, the northwest area marked on the map seems to be the area where the sea beasts gather the most. Rumor has it that the sea in that area is unfathomably deep. A barbarian fleet once came here to salvage something, but they were struck by the sea beasts. Even some of the marshals with copper skin and iron bones were eaten. Gu Chensha immediately flew over and arrived at the sea in about 2 hours. The seawater in this sea was extremely deep and dark green. There were whirlpools one after another, and the sea waves that spanned thousands of miles were turbulent. It was unknown how many giant demons and sea beasts were hidden in it. What a strong smell of spirit qi. Gu Chensha took a deep breath. He didn't know what was at the bottom of this sea. The earth veins were extraordinary, causing many sea beasts to gather in this area. He didn't circulate his earth energy and directly descended into the sea. He had already cultivated the glass jade body. Almost nothing could destroy his body. He had also cultivated the king dragon armor, which made his defense even stronger. But when he fell into the sea, he still felt that the huge whirlpool was about to grind him to pieces. In the face of the great power of heaven and earth, he couldn't stabilize his body and move freely. See Calming Pearl. Gu Chensha separated his hands and forced out his innate earth energy. It turned into a fist-sized pearl that floated above his head. With his current cultivation, he could suppress the sea within a radius of 50 miles by using the sea-calming pearl. But it was a waste of innate earth energy, so there was no need for it now. He restrained his power and suppressed the sea within a radius of 2 to 3 acres. The sea-calming pearl was formed by his innate earth energy. It counteracted the undercurrent of the whirlpool in the sea, and he gradually understood some of its mysteries. The tides in the sea were very beneficial to his cultivation. The sea-calming pearl doesn't evolve like this. The black tortoise baby would occasionally give him pointers. The sea-calming pearl was a treasure that was automatically born from its body. Of course, it was most familiar with it. Under its guidance, Glyph became more and more familiar with the black tortoise 9 treasures transformation formed by the innate earth energy. Just a few hundred feet deep in the sea, a school of ferocious strange fish suddenly pounced over. Each of these strange fish was half a foot long. They were covered in scales, flat, and had sharp teeth. When they pounced over, they were as fast as lightning in the water. Their structure was not afraid of the undercurrent at all. Crunch, crunch, there was no telling how many fish there were, but they were densely packed. They reached Glyph's side like arrows and quickly plundered him. They bit on his king dragon armor and made the sound of metal scraping. These bone-breaking fish are so fierce. Glyph wasn't surprised when he saw this scene. He recognized that these were the extremely ferocious bone-shattering fish of the sea. They formed groups and swarmed over their prey, and their teeth could even crush bones into powder before swallowing them. Some people had caught bone-breaking fish before and realized that they could even bite through iron. Even if one cultivated to the 3rd transformation of the Tao realm, copper skin and iron bones realm, one wouldn't be able to block the random bites of these fish. However, the bone-breaking fish was also extremely delicious. Its meat quality was even better than the bull of strength, but it was harder to catch than the bull of strength. When some fishing boats met groups of bone-breaking fish, the boats would be instantly bitten through. Fishing with nets was a joke. Even iron nets would be bitten through in a few bites. The bull of strength could also set up all sorts of traps, so the bone-breaking fish couldn't be dealt with in the sea at all. However, Glyph had seen these fish in his residence. Long Yun did business and transported a lot of seafood into the pass. The Long family were the descendants of the dragon god and ocean god, so they had many exquisite fishing methods that others didn't have. One bone-breaking fish was worth 1,000 yuan, which could be exchanged for 2 to 3 years of food and drink for a normal family. The Great Yonko was rich in resources and the price was stable. 1 yuan was equivalent to 1 tael of silver, which could buy 50 kilograms of rice or 10 kilograms of pork. The sea is indeed a good place. The resources are much more abundant than on land. If I can develop it well, the richness of my land will increase by several times. In the future, when I recruit Value Country, I will build a merchant group here. As Glyph's energy swept out, hundreds of bone-breaking fish were swept into the depths of the sun-moon altar and eaten by the black tortoise baby. The black tortoise baby had a huge appetite and couldn't eat its fill. It loved to eat things with rich essence blood. However, Glyph didn't want to let it out to hunt in the sea. Once the black tortoise baby came out, the commotion would be too big and it would attract the attention of some people. The energy of a god beast couldn't be hidden from some old antiques. The black tortoise baby squatted in the space of the sun-moon altar and opened its mouth, waiting for Glyph to use his energy to sweep the bone-breaking fish into his mouth. In just a short while, it had swallowed thousands of bone-breaking fish without even a burp. There were tens of thousands of these bone-breaking fish, and they all rushed forward. Glyph calculated that if it wasn't him but some other expert, even if they were at the 7th transformation of the Tao realm, their Xiantian energy would be used up and devoured by the fish. One had to know that using Xiantian energy in the sea was completely different from using it on land. The resistance of the water was great, and Xiantian energy could only protect the body and repel the seawater. Fortunately, Glyph's Xiantian energy was dense, and he was proficient in the black tortoise secret technique. His control of water was exquisite. However, even if he didn't use Sciention energy with his glass jade body, the bone-breaking fish wouldn't be able to bite him even if they were 100 times stronger. ZZZ. At this moment, a blue shadow that was dozens of feet long suddenly appeared from the bottom of the sea. The shadow looked like a python, but it had a single horn. The moment it appeared, the horn released a strong electric current. With it as the center, many bone-breaking fish were paralyzed and died. Then, the paralyzed bone-breaking fish were all swallowed by the blue horn python. The other bone-breaking fish fled in all directions, as if they had met their nemesis and didn't dare to go up again. This is the electric dragon. Gu Qinsha recognized it. It was a powerful demonic beast in the sea, the electric dragon. A dragon was something that looked like both a dragon and a snake. It had the bloodline of the dragon race in its body, but it wasn't a real dragon. However, it was undoubtedly extremely powerful. The electric dragon was born with the ability to release electricity, and it was extremely powerful. In the sea, it was extremely fast. However, the electric dragon itself was also an excellent material for refining weapons, and it was also a treasure. The electric horn on its head could be refined into a lightning-type weapon, and its flesh could be refined into good pills. A drop of the electric dragon's blood could cure all kinds of diseases, and the best was to get rid of rheumatism and cold. Good stuff. Gu Qinsha formed a seal with both hands, and suddenly, his Khanate Gang Qi evolved into a picture, which was not obstructed at all in the sea. This was one of the 9 treasures of the Black Tortoise, the mountain and sea picture. The mountain and sea picture floated in the water, sweeping and wrapping around the electric dragon. The electric dragon couldn't move at all. Seal of the sun and moon, spirit crystal. Gu Qinsha moved his hands again, and the dragon gate in his body absorbed a huge amount of spirit chi from the depths of the void. It squeaked and compressed, turning into a crystal shell, directly sealing the electric dragon within. A drop of spirit liquid was very valuable, and a spirit crystal was a treasure among treasures. Gu Qinsha was now using the dragon gate to directly extract a huge amount of spirit chi from the void, compressing it into a layer of crystal shell that wrapped around the electric dragon that was dozens of feet long. If an expert from the immortal Dao sect saw this, they would turn pale with fright. After sealing the electric dragon, he sent it into the space of the sun and moon altar. He had time to make good use of the electric dragon to refine the king dragon armor. Chapter 222. Gu Qinsha continued to dive deeper into the sea, and the water pressure increased. After diving for more than 15 miles, the king dragon armor was suppressed by the huge force, and it started to slow down. He felt like there was a mountain pressing down on him from all directions. The Celestial Designer Institute had experimented that even people made of steel could be crushed when they dived for 10 miles. When one dived for 20 miles, even the protective energy of someone at the 7th transformation of Tao Realm would be crushed, and they wouldn't be able to move at all. Even the glass jade body wouldn't be able to take it. If one dived for 70 to 80 miles, one's body wouldn't be able to take it unless one used their soul. The soul was a ball of energy and wasn't affected by the pressure of the water. But the deeper one went, the stronger the magnetic force. If the soul was affected by the magnetic force, it would be easily sucked in. In the end, it would dissipate and one would die. Because of all these dangers, many treasures in the deep sea were hard to find. The pressure got stronger and stronger. After diving for 25 miles, the king dragon armor finally cried out and contracted. It couldn't protect Gu Qinsha anymore. This was the limit of this magic treasure. The water pressure in the deep sea wasn't an enemy's attack. If others used Sciention earth energy to attack, they would be able to recover. The water pressure was a constant, never-ending pressure. In front of such power, humans were really small. The king dragon armor was kept in the dragon gate to prevent it from being destroyed. The water pressure pressed onto Gu Qinsha's body. He didn't care at all. If it was any other glass jade body, he wouldn't have been able to move. But he used the sun-moon dragon body to reach the ninth transformation and was 100 times stronger than people of the same realm. Even if he didn't use Sciention earth energy, he could still move freely in the ocean. Moreover, the water pressure was a form of training for his body. The pressure seeped into his body and organs. He circulated Sciention earth energy in his body to fight against the pressure. Just like that, his flesh and blood actually became tighter. Deep sea cultivation actually has such benefits. Gu Qinsha was secretly delighted. He had been cultivating amidst the thunderbolts above the sea, condensing his cultivation base and absorbing the thunderbolts to temper his body. Now, in the depths of the sea, he was borrowing the majestic power to compress his flesh, blood, and aura, and he had actually received an unexpected result. He stopped and began to use his fist technique in the depths of the sea. He waved his fist casually, and when he punched out, it was in accordance with the heavenly Tao. With his body as the center, the seawater was actually pushed away. He displayed all his martial arts to his heart's content, such as the Great Spirit God technique, the demonic Book of Chaos, the martial arts of the Temple of Hell Serpent, the ethereal divine fist, the fist technique of the Son of Heaven's investiture art, the Great Massacre God technique, and even the clumsy fist that he created himself. In the Book of Light given to him by the Heavenly Talisman Emperor, there were many secret martial arts manuals. He had already studied several thousand of them. There is nothing particularly tyrannical about those martial arts, but the theories contained a lot of predecessors' wisdom and wonderful ideas, which were worth learning from. These martial arts were all displayed under the pressure of the deep sea. In his sea of consciousness, 3,000 copies of himself appeared, each performing a different martial art. His body moved freely, and when he punched out, the moves would change hundreds of times. Under such intense pressure, his spiritual consciousness expanded without limit. He could now multitask 3,000 times at once, but he had not reached his limit, so he could not cultivate the 10 transformations of the Tao realm. And at this moment, he could vaguely feel the possibility of breaking through the limit. Crackle, crackle. In his mind, another 1,000 copies of himself appeared, and he could already multitask 4,000 times at once. The 4,000 copies of himself practiced different martial arts, all of them thinking, and in the end, all the martial arts once again became the clumsy Fist 9 moves. Gu Qinsha's understanding of martial arts had deepened by another level. All martial arts were to pave the way for one's own Tao. His foundation was the clumsy Fist 9 moves. In the deep sea, he calculated again, and his understanding of martial arts was much deeper. His multitasking level had also increased by 30%. As the stellar energy in his body circulated, it was sometimes as soft as cotton and sometimes as hard as steel. He could combine them at will, condensing them into runes. Once again, he dove a full 100 li deep. His body could not bear it any longer. This was a place that only Jindan Tao experts could descend. But he suddenly howled, and connate stellar energy appeared from all the pores on his body, spewing out runes that pushed the seawater aside. It formed the shape of a black tortoise outside his body, wrapping him within. He stood within the connate stellar energy black tortoise that he had condensed, constantly activating it. Instantly, the pressure of the seawater was dispelled by him. At this time, if an outsider saw him, they would be shocked to discover that Gu Qinsha had become a black tortoise. Even a 9-palace grid on his back could be seen clearly, and one could even see that the 9 treasures of the black tortoise were condensed within. Of course, those with strong eyesight would be able to see that Gu Qinsha's body was hidden in the core of the black tortoise. This was just a transformation of the connate stellar energy. The transformation of the sun and moon is truly wondrous. My cultivation has increased, and my connate stellar energy can condense into a black tortoise to swim in the deep sea. Gu Qinsha secretly calculated. His talent was now that of an unparalleled genius. His mind was nimble, and his potential was immense. He was completely different from before. The transformation of the sun and moon had the 4 symbols transformation, which was to use one's own connate stellar energy to transform into the four symbols of the mythical beasts. This was an extremely high level of cultivation, and with Gu Chincha's cultivation level, he would never have been able to do this. But after spending day and night with a real black tortoise, and even absorbing a portion of its bloodline, which seeped into his stellar energy, he could barely achieve 1,000th of this transformation. A real black tortoise had a dimensional space maze hidden within its body. It cannot be a simple stellar energy form. Fortunately, Gu Chansha did not use the black tortoise stellar energy form to fight. He only used it to resist the water pressure, and it was very easy for him. As expected, after the stellar energy condensed into a black tortoise to wrap around himself, the pressure on him was greatly reduced, and he felt relaxed. If a Jindan of the great Tao expert appeared in the sea to fight him, he would definitely be killed by him. In the process of diving to the bottom of the sea, Gu Chansha had a clearer understanding of the structure of the black tortoise. Under greater pressure, he could gain more. He constantly adjusted the circulation of his stellar energy, making the black tortoise incarnation even more exquisite. In a short while, he had already submerged to a depth of more than 120 miles. His surroundings were pitch black, and there was almost no light at all. He had not cultivated his soul tendrils, so he could not explore. Fortunately, there were 9 treasures on the back of the black tortoise formed from his stellar energy, and one of them was the dark fire lamp. It immediately gave off light. Instantly, the deep sea within a radius of 10 miles was brightly illuminated, vivid in his eyes. He sat down cross-legged, activating the stellar energy black tortoise that wrapped around his body. As he crawled on the bottom of the sea, he constantly absorbed spiritual chi from the depths of the void and converted it into stellar energy. Moving in the deep sea consumed a great deal of stellar energy. Even if he used the swallowing power of the Dragon Gate, he could only barely support it. If his connate stellar energy was even slightly insufficient, it would be directly scattered by the water pressure, and then his body would be crushed. One must know that this was the deep sea that was more than 100 miles deep. Martial cultivators were basically unable to come down. The sea was incomparably deep. Actually, more than 100 miles was not considered deep. It was rumored that there were even deeper ravines at the bottom of the sea, the depths of the eye of the sea, that could be as deep as 1,000 miles or even 10,000 miles. Only those who had cultivated the undying body could enter and explore. At this moment, Gu Chansha had also observed the deep sea and realized that there were very few living creatures here. Occasionally, there were some animals, but their bodies were flat, as thin as a piece of paper, so that they could resist the water pressure. However, Gu Chansha did not dare to let his guard down. The animals that could survive in the deep sea were all extremely strong and definitely not to be trifled with. He landed on an underwater mountain. This mountain had a radius of a few hundred miles, and it was covered by a thick layer of silt. Gu Chansha activated the stellar energy black tortoise's claws to dig away the silt, and immediately saw layers of jade light. The entire mountain was actually condensed from fine jade. No wonder this region of the sea is filled with spirit chi. Lightning dragons, broken-boned fish, and many sea beasts swim in the upper layers of the sea. So there really is a jade mountain in the deep sea. Gu Chansha knocked on the jade mountain, and it let out a clear and ethereal sound. Good jade. He could immediately tell that this fine jade no longer had any impurities. Under the pressure of the deep sea, and after millions of years of refinement by the underground fire at the bottom of the sea, it had already been refined to the point where it could not be any more refined. He pressed down with his claws, wanting to dig out a piece of jade from the mountain and see the structure of the jade. However, that stellar energy claw seemed to have encountered an indestructible divine artifact and actually could not touch the deep sea jade mountain at all. How is this possible? He was shocked. My innate stellar energy is almost indestructible. It's impossible that I can't dig out this jade mountain. He activated his stellar energy repeatedly, changing it into various forms, but he could not even carve a mark on the jade mountain. Father, did you notice? This jade mountain is not a simple jade mountain. It has been condensed by an extremely powerful magic power. At this time, the black tortoise baby spoke from within the sun-moon altar. After repeated attempts, Gu Chansha also discovered that the jade mountain structure was very profound. It seemed to have condensed in it some kind of talisman, and it was more than 1,000 times more brilliant than talisman steel. "Can you break off a piece?" Gu Chansha asked the black tortoise baby. "I can't," the black tortoise baby said directly. "I feel that this jade mountain is an artifact used by an ancient great being to suppress some kind of evil thing. Maybe there is some kind of powerful devil suppressed under this jade mountain." Very likely. Gu Chansha looked at the deep sea below the mountain. It was so deep that he could not see the bottom. He knew that if he continued to go down, he might not be able to withstand it even if he used his stellar energy to condense a black tortoise. However, if he could obtain a piece of this jade mountain, it would be a huge fortune, and he did not want to let it go. That's right, the Sun-Moon Talisman has a technique called Jade Transformation Talisman. It uses the laws of talisman arts and the frequency of the jade to refine the essence of the jade, turning it into immortal nectar. Gu Chansha suddenly said, "The higher the quality of jade, the higher the quality of the immortal nectar. Some of the immortal nectar, transformed from fine jade, is even of a higher grade than heavenly dew. Fine jade is also one of the artifacts used to offer sacrifices to the heavens." Immediately, he formed a talisman with both hands, and the innate stellar energy in his body condensed into a talisman. This talisman had a myriad of changes, and it was gentle and exquisite, similar to fine jade. Jade transformation liquid. He sent the talisman into the jade mountain. Chapter 2:23. The sun and moon node of the Sun of Heaven investiture technique was mysterious and unfathomable. It used a certain law in the unseen world to do all kinds of incredible things. Gu Chansha used the jade transformation note to turn jade into nectar. In ancient times, when the Son of Heaven held banquets with his officials, they would drink nectar. As soon as the jade transformation note was inserted into the jade mountain, the fist-sized jade mountain began to glow and soften. Good stuff. Gu Chansha immediately took it and wrapped it in his connate energy. He found that the fist-sized jade indeed turned into nectar. There was only one drop of nectar, and it had shrunk a lot. It seemed like the essence of jade was concentrated and refined. The rest turned into powder and scattered in the sea. I can't believe a fist-sized jade can be refined into a drop of nectar. The quality of this jade mountain is shocking. Gu Chansha had read that when the Son of Heaven refined nectar, he needed tens of thousands of kilograms of jade to get one drop. The higher the quality of the jade, the more effective the nectar would be. According to the ancient books, the nectar was divided into 9 levels, from 1 heaven nectar to 9 heaven nectar. This meant that if one looked closely, there seemed to be a layer of heaven in one drop of nectar. The highest level nectar had 9 layers of heaven, so it was called 9 heaven nectar. At this moment, Gu Chansha looked at the drop of nectar and found that there were 7 layers of clouds hidden in it. It seemed like there were 7 layers of heaven. 7 heaven nectar. The 3rd heaven nectar is comparable to the heavenly dew. The 7th heaven nectar is only produced in the godly nation. Gu Chansha studied it and was overjoyed. What kind of jade mountain is this? The quality of the jade is so good that it can probably make all the cultivators in the world go crazy. Just as he was about to start collecting again, black smoke suddenly rose from the depths of the jade mountain. A will that blotted out the sky, and the earth slammed into Gu Chansha's mind. If it weren't for the protection of the sacrificial talisman, his soul would have been destroyed by this attack. Even so, his soul was deeply pierced, and he almost couldn't control his connate energy. The Xian Wu dissipated, and the huge pressure of the sea immediately pressed on him. Blood seeped out of his orifices. Black-yellow pill. At this moment, a black-yellow pill in the depths of his dragon's gate melted. The powerful medicinal power instantly circulated through his body, and all of his injuries were healed. The black tortoise condensed once again. What exactly happened? He was horrified. Ha! At this moment, a picture appeared in his mind. There seemed to be some kind of evil and powerful existence under the Jade Mountain. In the boundless black gas, there was a hideous head pierced through by jade chains, its 7 orifices. The jade chains penetrated deep into the Jade Mountain, making it impossible for the head to escape. This head was extremely huge, almost the size of a city. Its face was terrifying, and its facial features were twisted with incomparable anger. It seemed like it was still alive. That thought just now had come from this giant head. Moreover, some remnant thoughts had entered Gu Chencha's mind, allowing Gu Chansha to see this scene. What the hell is this? Even though Gu Chansha was brave, he was still horrified. That city-sized head was definitely an unparalleled demon or god. The aura it gave off was something that even Grand Tutor Wen Hong couldn't compare to. Someone actually used a metamorphosis talisman to melt the Yong Chong Jade Mountain, suppressing me. That must be the birth of the heavenly talisman. The Son of Heaven's god sealing art has appeared in the world again. My Xingqiang clan can finally rise again. That thought was try to occupy Gu Chencha's mind and steal his soul. It's actually the most ferocious person in the divine prefecture recorded in the ancient books, Xingqiang clan. Gu Chensha fled with all his might. He recalled many ancient records. The Xianwu baby also said, "Go, go." Gu Chensha leaped up and rushed upwards with all his might, wanting to leave this place. Luckily, the head seemed to be unable to break free from the suppression of the Jade Mountain. Once he left the range of the Jade Mountain, the thought could no longer affect him. Desperately leaping out of the sea, Gu Chensha flew into the sky, far away from the sea region, and only calmed down when he reached land. The most ferocious person in the divine prefecture, Xingqiang clan, actually exists here. Gu Chensha couldn't believe it. According to the ancient records, the most ferocious person in the divine prefecture in the ancient times was Xingqiang clan. This person wreaked havoc in the world and killed several ancient emperors. The ancient emperors would abdicate, not inherit the position after the death of the father. Therefore, there would often be a few generations of emperors coexisting in the world every few centuries. Xingqiang clan had wreaked havoc for a long time, and even the emperors couldn't suppress it, and a few of them were killed. Later on, several generations of ancient heavenly sons joined hands, along with many deities, and even some extremely ancient existences in the immortal Tao joined hands to set up a great formation. Only then did they break him into pieces. Then, they suppressed his body in many places, not allowing him to gather again. Gu Chensha had always thought that this was just an unreliable legend. Who would have thought that when he explored the underwater Jade Mountain, he would actually discover the head of the most ferocious person in the divine prefecture suppressed here? This isn't good news. Could it be that I was greedy for treasures and used a jade talisman to melt a small piece of jade, causing a tiny flaw in the formation that suppresses it? Gu Chensha felt bad just thinking about it. His cultivation had been increasing rapidly recently, and he was quite heroic, but he didn't expect to meet such an existence. This was a person who could even kill ancient emperors and even kill a few of them, turning the divine prefecture upside down. It had the bearing of the current heavenly talisman emperor. I should go back and write a memorial to my father. If such a ferocious person were to be born, wouldn't Baiyu Nation be reduced to ashes immediately? Gu Chensha took a long time to calm himself down. He felt like he was in a dream while exploring the bottom of the sea. When he returned to the Frost Jade Du residence, Gu Chensha began to think deeply. There were many relics and jade mines around Baiyu Nation, but he wasn't in the mood to mine them. Since the head of the most ferocious person in the divine prefecture was sealed, there must be other seals in the surrounding seas. If he accidentally broke them, he would definitely be in big trouble. Could it be that the Great Wei dynasty is actually going to release the most ferocious person in the divine prefecture, Xingqiang? Gu Chensha frowned. With such a hidden danger sealed at the bottom of the sea, Even if Bayou Nation were to be appeased, it wouldn't be safe. However, I can't write a memorial to my father now. Ever since that disaster, my father has been in closed-door cultivation. I should inform Bayou first. At that moment, he used the universe box to send an urgent message. Something big has happened. Come quickly. He usually didn't send messages easily, so if Lu Baiwei received the message, she would definitely rush over. Sure enough, after waiting in the residence for 4 hours, the front of him suddenly shook, and a person appeared. It was Lu Baiwei. Lu Baiwei's speed was simply astonishing. It only took her 4 hours to come from the barbarian land. Of course, this was the magical effect of her activating the 10,000 miles flying cloud flag. What's wrong? What trouble have you encountered? Could it be that the powerhouses of the Tai fantasy sect and the Great Wei dynasty are making things difficult for you? The moment Lu Baiwei appeared, she hurriedly asked. However, her eyes were filled with shock. Your aptitude has reached the level of a peerless genius? You've cultivated the glass jade body and improved so quickly? What the hell happened? If it was the powerhouses of the Great Wei dynasty and the Tai fantasy sect, I wouldn't bother you at all. However, I'm afraid that only my father can solve this problem today. However, my father is often in closed-door cultivation. Nobody knows when he will come out. Only you and I can know this secret. Gu Chansha first told her how he had subdued Gu Hua, seized his Jindan and Heavenly Dragon Spirit Gathering Flag, the Imperial Edict, and the 6-star Dragon Lord Seal absorbing the Emperor's Qi as a sacrifice. Finally, he told her about his encounter with the most ferocious person in the Divine Prefecture, Xing Qiong. What? When Lu Baiwei heard that Gu Chansha had subdued Gu Hua, she was a bit shocked. When she heard about the most ferocious person in the Divine Prefecture, Xing Qiong, she almost lost her composure. After a long while, she recovered her composure. This is indeed a big thing. The most ferocious person in the Divine Prefecture, Xing Qiong, has appeared. I'm afraid even the real gods would be scared out of their wits. What should we do now? I can't handle this. Gu Qinsha was really at his wits' end. I can't help it either. Lu Baiwei thought for a while and frowned. Not to mention you and me, even the heads of the 72 sects of the immortal Tao and the real gods can't do anything about it. In the legends, the most ferocious person in the Divine Prefecture, Xing Qiong, slaughters gods like killing chickens. Even several ancient emperors have fallen because of him. I think only your majesty can suppress him at his peak. If it was simple, I wouldn't bother you at all. Even if I face a Golden Dan great Tao expert, I have a way to fight him. Gu Chensh's eyes lit up. He could tell that Lu Baiwei's cultivation had improved a lot. Lu Baiwei's body was like that of a ghost or a god. Her movements were erratic, like there was something forming within her body, and it was about to fly out at any moment. This was the 14th transformation of the Tao realm, the primordial spirit leaving body realm. When they separated not long ago, Lu Baiwei was still at the 12th transformation of the soul tentacle. In just a short month, she actually improved by 2 transformations. Such speed was just unbelievable. Of course, Gu Qinsha himself had also advanced by 2 realms. Most importantly, he had improved his aptitude to that of a peerless genius. However, Lu Baiwei's talent seemed to be even higher. Although she was also a top genius, there seemed to be a huge change at any moment. She would step into Fa Wuxian's level, which was a natural saint. I have gained some insights in cultivation, and it is all thanks to your sun and moon dragon handle. Lu Baiwei circulated her energy. Our cultivation has improved greatly this month, so we can cultivate again. We can only wait for the emperor to come out of secluded meditation to decide about the top killer Xing Qiong family. Now, it is best to raise our strength. Okay, that is the only way. Gu Qinsha sat down cross-legged and placed his palms against Lu Baiwei's. Immediately, their stellar energies blended together. Both of them were so comfortable that they almost moaned. As their stellar energies blended together, a new mutation occurred. Especially since Lu Baiwei had actually cultivated the 14th transformation of the primordial spirit leaving body realm. That meant that she had the true power of a god. Moreover, it was mental energy that could interfere with the real world. The biggest benefit of the primordial spirit leaving body realm wasn't that she could use it to attack others, but that she could use it to activate treasures. The strength of the treasures would increase by many times. Gu Qinsha came into contact with Lu Baiyue's soul and instantly noticed many things that he didn't understand. The two of them started to communicate spiritually. Chapter 224. Each time he cultivated with Lu Baiyue, Gu Qinsha would be able to obtain many benefits. Both of them had a wish, which was to not care about anything else and cultivate for such a long time until the end of time. This was because their cultivation techniques were attracted to one another. As they circulated their cultivation techniques, they could pretty much forget about time. This was because they were in extreme happiness. There was no need to talk about the benefits that Lu Baiyue obtained. For her current achievements, at least 70% of it was due to the Sun-Moon Dragon blood and Sun-Moon Dragon energy. Gu Qinsha passed his recent gains to Lu Baiyue, and Lu Baiyue did the same to him. Once the soul leaves the body, the most important thing is to activate the treasure and use the power of the gods to clear up the body. Lu Baiyue's soul appeared above her head. It was a beautiful teen that looked exactly the same as her, but was only a foot tall. Originally, the soul couldn't be seen, but with the Xiantian energy on it, it was like a human with a body of flesh and blood. Gu Qinsha was originally multitasking, but now that he was interacting with Lu Baiyue's soul, their minds intersected and many mysteries surged into his mind. Voila! 5,000 of himself actually split out in his mind, and they were all practicing various martial arts. At this time, Lu Baiyue had also entered his sea of consciousness. He had actually split himself into more than 10,000 clones and was also practicing his martial arts. The two of them communicated with each other in their sea of consciousness, and their evolved thoughts clashed. More than 5,000 Gu Qinsha and more than 10,000 Lu Baiyue were sparring in different ways. Each pair didn't use any martial arts, and the changes in their moves were also strange. If it was a normal person, their head would have exploded from having so many thoughts in their mind. But the two of them were really relaxed. Their divination ability was really terrifying. All sorts of martial arts became more and more perfect when their minds intersected. The two of them were deducing the most suitable cultivation method for themselves. Gu Qinsha was able to multitask, and his mental power became much stronger. This would be the foundation for him to advance in the future. The first 9 transformations of Tao Realm basically trained the physical body and the physical world. The glass jade body represented the completion of the physical body. After the 9 transformations, it was time to purely cultivate the mind. This was another important juncture. If Gu Qinsha reached Tao Realm Transformation 10, he would be able to multitask like Lu Baiyue. It was effortless for him to control the innate stellar energy. Many of the intricacies of the solar moon transformation could also be displayed. Even the power of the annihilation of sun and moon would increase by a level. If he could really multitask, then the sun-moon annihilation would be able to set up a killing array and kill people several times stronger than him. Just like that, the two of them cultivated for a day and a night before opening their eyes. Lu Baiyue's primordial spirit seemed to be greatly nourished. She said joyfully, "My primordial spirit is nourished by your spirit sense. It will instantly form a minor Tao. I will probably be able to form the heavenly, hovering skies soon. At that time, it will be a different scene." Tao Realm Transformation 15, Heavenly, hovering sky, allowed one's primordial spirit to hang in the air. It would be able to see 1,000 miles, and no movement would be able to hide from the primordial spirit. This wasn't all. The heavenly, hovering sky was mainly used to observe the situation in the void and sense the dangers that were about to happen. The stronger your realm, the better. The situation will be really chaotic and hard to control. Gu Qinsha thought about the series of things that happened recently. Since the demon star descended and the black energy swallowed the sun, he felt that something huge was about to happen. This feeling was really bad, and he couldn't describe it. He felt really uneasy, and the only thing that made him feel slightly better was the increase in strength. Only absolute strength could bring him a sense of security. You captured Tai Xian, sect's Tai Daoist, and many disciples. After Lu Baiwei stopped her cultivation, her eyes shone brightly. Tai Daoist is cultivated to the 14 transformations. Although he isn't our match, he is a top person in Xuana's sect. Tai Xian's sect definitely won't give up on him. They might send experts to teach you a lesson, but they wouldn't expect you to be so powerful. Don't worry about Tai Xian's sect. Gu Qinsha already had a plan. I still have a Xuanwu baby. If they really send experts, they will definitely teach them an unforgettable lesson. What I'm worried about is that if the Great Wei dynasty really has a plan, they might release the head of Xing Qiongshi, the most ferocious person in the Divine Land. How should I put it? Xing Qiongshi, the most ferocious person in the Divine Land, is no longer as powerful as before. After all, he was besieged by countless experts. Many ancient emperors teamed up to tear him apart and kill him. His body is suppressed in many places in the land of infinity. All that's left is his head. If we make good use of it, it might be a great opportunity. Lu Baiwei said something shocking. You mean to use the heavenly sacrificial decree to sacrifice this head? Gu Qinsha immediately thought of what Lu Baiwei wanted to say. The two of them already had a tacit understanding. Yes, but the details are worth discussing. Lu Baiwei pondered. If I can improve by leaps and bounds and cultivate the 18 transformations golden core of the Great Path, I will be able to see more things. At that time, there might be a chance. With your speed, you should be able to do it very quickly. Gu Qinsha had already understood many things. If I want to improve quickly, it would be best if I could obtain more of the Emperor's Qi from the Great Wei dynasty. During the sacrifice, I can change my own aptitude. The Emperor's Qi is an existence that can change fate. It is a certain law that is recognized by all living beings. It is not to be underestimated. The heavenly Tao can strengthen its own order by absorbing this Qi. Therefore, to a certain extent, the heavenly talisman is a bait for the heavenly Tao. You have to be careful. Lu Baiwei's cultivation had improved a lot, and her horizons had broadened. She could see many things. I know. Gu Qinsha was not someone to be trifled with. I have been paying attention all this time. All the martial arts I learned are preparation for building my own Tao. Moreover, I have been painstakingly cultivating the Dragon Gate in order to one day be able to restrain the heavenly talisman. The Dragon Gate is naturally weak now, but as long as we find more primordial ruins, it will gradually become stronger. Who knows, we might really be able to sense the primordial Dragon Gate. Your Dragon Gate is already very strong. Of course, that is in terms of treasures. Compared to the heavenly talisman, it is not worth mentioning. Lu Baiwei nodded. Recently, I have been very busy contacting the disciples of the Celestial Tranquility Department. That Jin Suebua is indeed capable. In just a few dozen days, he actually managed to rope in close to 100 second and third-rate celestial sects and unorthodox sects to pay taxes and register for protection from the Imperial Court. I have to meet them one by one and appease them. I am really too busy. You have to quickly settle the matter of recruiting the Baoyu Nation. I have a feeling that Jin Suebua is hiding very deeply. We still have to be careful of this person. We don't know what he is planning. I definitely don't believe that he is loyal to the Imperial Court. Gu Qinsha thought of Jin Suebua and felt uneasy. Right now, don't worry. Everything is under my control. Lu Baiwei said, if you and I work together, there will be no one in the world that can stop us. What is a mere Jin Suebua? But then again, he helped me quite a bit this time. If he hadn't gathered a bunch of immortal cultivators to present me with a bone fragment of an ancient saint, I wouldn't have been able to comprehend some of the essences of the laws within, and I wouldn't have been able to cultivate to my current level. I see. These days, Gu Qinsha and Lu Baiwei had their own fortuitous encounters. There was no doubt that the celestial Tao mystic sects had many treasures. They did not even recognize some of them, and needed someone to find the best. By the way, have the 72 Orthodox sects expressed their stance? What about the celestial dance mystic sect? Gu Qinsha asked. I remember that the celestial dance mystic sect said they would submit to the imperial court. Is there still no movement? Originally, the celestial dance mystic sect was going to submit to the imperial court, but rumor has it that 3 old antiques, Heavenly Lord Yuan Gu, Heavenly Lord Pu Tuo, and Heavenly Lord Victorious Battle, returned and issued a decree for all the celestial Tao mystic sects to convene a Dharma assembly. A look of disdain appeared on Liu Baiyue's face. They want to fight against the imperial court, but it's like throwing an egg against a rock. I remember that in the ancient myths, these 3 heavenly lords, dozens of ancient deities, about 10 ancient emperors, tens of thousands of experts from the celestial Tao mystic sects, and a few demon sages from the demon race joined forces. In the end, 3,000 experts from the celestial Tao mystic sects sacrificed themselves so that the ancient emperors could summon the wrath of the heavens through the heavenly sacrificial talisman. They split the body of the celestial Tao mystic sect's number 1 fiend, Xing Xiong, and suppressed it in all directions. Gu Qinsha recalled. According to the legends, this battle was earth-shattering and the universe collapsing. The 3 heavenly lords, the celestial Tao mystic sect, and the demon race all suffered great losses. The number 1 fiend of the celestial Tao mystic sect, Xing Xiong, was indeed invincible when he was at his peak. Unfortunately, he still incurred public anger. It was said that even the people from the demon path hated him to the bone. At that time, the celestial Tao, demon path, celestial Tao, and demon path joined forces for the first time. Liu Baiyue said, he was worthy of the title of the number 1 fiend of the celestial Tao mystic sect. I will speed up the recruitment of Baoyu country. Gu Qinsha said, it's not difficult for the Tao mystic sect to handle it. I'm relieved that you're confident. Liu Baiyue nodded. I have to go back to deal with other things. As she spoke, she waved the 10,000 miles flying cloud flag and disappeared without a sound. Gu Qinsha sat in silence for a while as he calculated in his mind. After a few hours, Yu Hanlu came in to report. Your Highness, Yu Huang wants to see you. Will you see him or not? How did Yu Huang know that I'm here? Gu Qinsha asked. He doesn't know that Your Highness is here, but he discussed with me that he wants to see Your Highness to discuss the recruitment of Baoyu country. You want me to inform Your Highness? Yu Hanlu said, that's fine. Yu Huang is the leader of the opposition. If he can be moved, the recruitment of Baoyu country will be 90% complete. Gu Qinsha said, bring him to see me. Yes. Yu Hanlu hurriedly left. In fact, there were no obstacles to the recruitment of Baoyu country. With absolute power to oppress the opposition, they would not have any chance to resist. Sure enough, not long after, Yu Hanlu brought Yu Huang to her mansion. Beside Yu Huang stood a young man. Chapter 225. Tai Mang Di was only around 13 years old, a few years younger than Gu Qinsha. Gu Qinsha was 16 years old now and would soon be 17. This person was dressed in a white Taoist robe. His face was like fine jade, and his eyes were like gems. He looked like a flawless statue, but when he spoke, there was an unparalleled arrogance in his voice. That imposing manner was revealed from his words, as if no one in the world was a match for him. Gu Qinsha had only seen such an aura from Fa Wuxian. He secretly circulated his vital energy, and a dragon image actually appeared in his eyes. Activating the Sun-Moon Dragon Eye, he could see that Tai Mang Di's cultivation wasn't high. He was the same as him, a Tao Realm 9 transformation glass J body. His talent was also that of an unparalleled genius, similar to Long Zai Fei. Without a doubt, unparalleled geniuses were important figures in the Celestial Tao sect. However, Gu Qinsha didn't care about them. But Tai Mang Di, with his Tao Realm 9 transformation cultivation, actually wanted to fight him. This made Gu Qinsha very wary. He wasn't an arrogant person. On the contrary, he could see through everything. This time Mang Di wasn't simple. The good thing about Gu Chincha's character was that he wouldn't underestimate even the weakest enemy. He had read all sorts of history books and had seen too many stories of people failing miserably. He had also seen many famous old antiques being defeated by youngsters, losing all their wisdom. Not to mention a Dao Realm 9 transformation cultivator challenging him. Even if it was a Dao Realm 9 transformation, he wouldn't underestimate it and would go all out. Tai Mang Di, can you represent Tai Mystic Sect? Gu Qinsha wasn't in a hurry. Let's not beat around the bush. The imperial court has to recruit Baoyu country. The current situation is complicated and Baoyu country is being eyed by countless forces. Only the imperial court can protect this rich land from being destroyed. Right now, the imperial court can't even take care of itself. How can it take care of Baoyu country? Tai Mang Di spoke. You guys have handled the recent natural disasters well, but do you think it's over? In the future, there will be a small disaster every few months and a big disaster every year. The imperial court that has been abandoned by the heavenly Tao will definitely suffer a disaster. Gu Qinsha didn't seem to care at all. Man can conquer the heavens, and how difficult it is to prosper a country. These things are unimaginable to you immortal cultivators. In the midst of disasters, the weak will often blossom with true brilliance, stimulating unprecedented potential. Moreover, immortal cultivation is also a defiance of the heavens. The more powerful a person is, the more tribulations they will encounter, and all kinds of disasters will come one after another. If cultivators don't have disasters, it means that their cultivation is not strong enough. This is actually a good thing. What you said makes some sense. I won't refute you. Actually, I can't stand the heavens either. Tai Mang Di's words surprised Gu Qinsha. I was born in this world. Nothing can block my eyes. Nothing can take away my life. Not even the heavens can. If that's the case, why don't we work together? When Gu Qinsha heard this, he knew that this Tai Mang Di was different from the majority of immortal Dao cultivators. Cooperate with you? That will depend on whether or not you have the ability. Tai Mang Di smiled. I know that your cultivation is high. You actually killed Lightning Beast King Thunder Martial Evil at Dao Realm 6 transformation. Such an achievement is comparable to that of a natural saint, Fa Wuxian. So, I want to see what your cultivation is like. You have fought with Fa Wuxian before? Gu Qinsha was really curious. Of course, but he doesn't know my identity. Tai Mang Di didn't hide anything and waved his hand. I sneak attacked him, but he retreated the moment I touched him. This person really has the ability to steal the mysteries of heaven and earth. Gu Qinsha talked for a while and felt that this Tai Mang Di was a little interesting. What is your identity in Tai Fantasy Sect? If I beat you, Tai Fantasy Sect won't meddle in Baoyu country's affairs? The sect leader is my father. Tai Mang Di said straightforwardly. I have full authority over this matter. If you lose, will the imperial court send someone else? If I lose, then the other princes are useless. Gu Qinsha was also very straightforward. But if they send someone from the older generation, then it is hard to say. You are very honest, not like the other princes who are fake. I like talking to people like you. Tai Mang Di laughed uproariously. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor still has some powerful subordinates like Ghost Axe, Tian Gong, the 8 marquises, 3 imperial dukes, and 2 great eunuchs. However, these characters are all of the older generation and are already set in stone. The imperial court is very strong, stronger than any celestial Dao. Gu Qinsha tried to recruit him. Why doesn't Tai Fantasy Sect join them? There are benefits to joining them. Tai Mang Di's smile disappeared. The imperial court wants us to join them. But not only do they not give us any benefits, they want us to pay taxes, report our wealth, and count our population and experts. How is this joining them? This is slavery. Think about it from another perspective. If you were someone from a celestial Dao, would you agree? This is also for the people of the world. If the celestial Dao paid taxes and let the imperial court use it on the people's lives, how prosperous would the world be? Gu Qinsha said righteously, the people of the world have suffered for tens of thousands of years. The celestial Dao is so high and mighty. Even if you pluck a hair from them, you can benefit the world. Why be so stingy? Your righteous hat is very clear and logical. Tai Mang Di waved his hand. I don't care about the lives and deaths of the people of the world, and I didn't come here today to debate about this. Let's go to the sea and fight. I will go first. I will wait for you over there. As he spoke, his body moved slightly, creating a ripple in the air, and he disappeared at any moment. Gu Qinsha gave a look to the frost jade dew and rose into the air as well. In a blink of an eye, he tore through the air and caught up to Tai Mang Di. Tai Mang Di's flying speed was extremely fast, but Gu Qinsha was not slow either, following closely behind. The two moved as fast as lightning and soon arrived at the sea. Gu Qinsha was slightly surprised to find that Tai Mang Di had actually brought him to the sea where the number one villain of the divine continent, Xing Xiong, was suppressed. He did not want to come to this place again. The sea was turbulent and seemed to be darker than the day before. Countless ferocious sea beasts were still entrenched at the bottom of the sea, killing each other. Gu Qinsha's sun-moon dragon eyes could see very deep into the sea, and his heart palpitated. Tai Mang Di stopped high above the sea, pointing downwards. This sea is basically one of the most dangerous areas around Baoyu country. The sea beasts are ferocious, and if you fall down after death, even your bones will be gnawed clean. This is the best place for fighting. There is a jade mountain at the bottom of the sea, and that jade mountain seems to be in existence used by ancient powerhouses to suppress evil spirits. Legend has it that a supreme evil spirit is suppressed at the bottom of the sea. However, our Tai fantasy sect has explored it many times without any discovery, but there are still many treasures left at the bottom of the sea. You've gone down before? Gu Qinsha did not believe it. He knew that if he was not proficient in black tortoise transformation, he would not have been able to see the Jade Mountain at all. Of course I have. Tai Mang Di's expression turned solemn. Looking at your expression, you've actually gone down before? To reach the bottom of the sea and touch that Jade Mountain, you have to at least cultivate to the golden core of the Great Tao. Your cultivation has actually reached such a level? Likewise, Gu Qinsha said politely, the Jade Mountain below is hundreds of li in circumference, and I can't even break a piece of it. Not just you, my father once came here and used spatial slicing, and he could not even touch the Jade Mountain at all. Tai Mang Di said, besides, there might be a supreme evil spirit suppressed at the bottom of the Jade Mountain. It would not be good if it was alarmed. More than a supreme evil spirit? Gu Qinsha knew the ins and outs of the matter, but he did not say it out loud. If the guy below came out, even if it was just a head, it would be a great disaster to the world. All right, let's have a spar. Tai Mang Di held his hands behind his back and floated in the air. There was actually no connate stellar energy surrounding his body, so it was unknown how he was able to fly. The so-called 7 transformations of Tao Realm, leaving the ground and soaring in the air, was to surround one's body with connate stellar energy, lifting one's body into the air. This meant that one's connate stellar energy had reached the realm of being able to be released and retracted freely. In the future, no matter how high one's cultivation was, flying would still require connate stellar energy, and there was no way one could fly with their body. In that case, I'll make the first move. Gu Qinsha did not stand on ceremony, and with a circle of his hands, connate stellar energy condensed into many circles in his palms. These circles were formed from talismans and could be big or small. They vibrated in the air and flew out, trying to trap Tai Mang Di within. This was the stellar energy transformation technique that he had recently comprehended. These stellar energy circles would immediately shrink the moment they caught someone, tightly trapping them. Of course, this was just a test. He did not expect to defeat Tai Mang Di with this technique. As expected, before these stellar energy circles could even touch Tai Mang Di's body, they were shattered by an invisible force. Tai Mang Di did not even move, and he had already broken through Gu Qinsha's technique. But the moment those stellar energy circles were shattered, Gu Chinch's eyes moved, and all the shattered stellar energy turned into a giant serpent that swallowed Tai Mang Di. This was his true technique transformation. Sun-devouring bash. Tai Mang Di was swallowed into the serpent's stomach, and he let out a slightly surprised sound. His entire body immediately shone with an extremely intense light. Kaboom! Overwhelming stellar energy surged out of his body, condensing into blinding lightning, and its explosive power was almost comparable to a heavenly tribulation. Tai Sek's Tai Divine Thunder Aura was activated by him, and almost turned into a lightning prison barrier. Gu Chansha felt his stellar energy shaking violently, about to be completely shattered, and the sun-devouring bash formed from stellar energy was about to be blown apart. This kid is so strong. His realm is the same as mine, but the density of his stellar energy is no less than mine. What kind of treasure does he have? And what kind of fortuitous encounter did he have? Gu Chansha already knew that Tai Mang Di was not to be underestimated, but his opponent's cultivation still exceeded his expectations. But how could his innate stellar energy be so easily destroyed? The sun-devouring bash that was about to explode let out a long hiss again. Its body rapidly shrunk and actually grew a beard. Then its claws became sharp, and the horns on its head shone with light, showing signs of transforming into a dragon. I can't break it. Good move. Tai Mangdi's eyes were sharp. He was swallowed by the sun-devouring bash, but he was not injured at all. The sun-devouring bash, formed from Gu Chinch's innate stellar energy, was far inferior to the real evil god bash, but still had a portion of its power. Even if it was a mountain rock or metal, it would immediately melt if it was swallowed, but Tai Mang Di did not care at all, showing his strength. Tai Heavenly Light, come sword. Tai Mang Di raised his hand and drew, and a long sword appeared from his body. This was not a treasure, but his own martial art. After this sword appeared, vast and majestic sword chi spread out, tearing open the bash's abdomen in an instant, and he escaped. Astral world, transformation, myriad destruction. In the instant that Tai Mang Di tore open the bash's abdomen, he did not see Gu Chinch's real body, but instead saw that the surrounding dozens of li had turned into a vast starry sky. He seemed to be in the starry sky, and the stars were embedded in the depths of the pitch-black space, mysterious and profound. Chapter 226. Innate stellar chi, even if an ordinary person cultivated it to the extreme, could only manifest sabers, spears, swords, and halberds. At most, it would be some kind of talisman treasure, and even stronger, it would be lightning formed from runes. To manifest a starry sky, with the stars shining brightly, and then the stars changing with each other, coinciding with the movement of the celestial bodies. As the boundary rotated, the innate stellar chi would connect with the true power of the stars in the sky, causing the power of the stars to descend. This was an unimaginable realm. Gu Chinch's innate stellar chi turned into a starry sky, covering dozens of miles. The stars formed in the starry sky were very mysterious. As they rotated, one could vaguely see the vast power of the stars being drawn from the nine heavens, strand by strand. It poured into his boundary, causing his stellar chi boundary to fuse with the power of the stars, fusing heaven, earth, and man into one. This was a method he had comprehended, and was also a wondrous technique of the clumsy fist. Even a rock in the mud on the ground would one day become a dazzling star. Moreover, when he saw Grand Tutor Wenhong cast the myriad stars flying immortal art in Buzhou Palace, he was deeply touched. Many of the martial arts he learned involved the transformation of the stars, including the newest 9 Calamities transformation, which also included the Star of Calamity, not to mention the Heavenly Star Talisman, Star Guiding Talisman, and the star constellation Sacrificial Talisman of the Sun and Moon Sacrificial Talisman. In summary, he incorporated all of these into the clumsy fist, and the ignorant people corresponded to the dazzling starry sky. Gazing at the starry sky, there was also hope. The star boundary changed. During the last great calamity, when the stars descended into the world, he observed the astronomical phenomena and had some slight understanding. The stars and the people were so closely related. Even the stars high up in the sky had to borrow the power of mortals in order to appear in time. This kind of understanding allowed him to manifest a method that was close to nature. The moment the star boundary changed, it actually trapped Tai Mang Di inside, preventing him from appearing. Good. Although Tai Mang Di was trapped, Gu Qinsha could not harm him. His cultivation was unfathomable. Tai Yi divine skill circulated throughout his body, and his stellar chi attacked repeatedly, causing the entire star boundary to shake. As for Gu Qinsha, he shrunk the astral boundary, crushing it from dozens of miles to only a few miles. The stars inside became even more dazzling. At this moment, if someone were to look from afar, they would see a nebula wriggling on the surface of the sea, emitting rumbling sounds. Above the 9 heavens, starlight was faintly discernible, descending into the nebula in strands, making the nebula even more realistic. It was as if a piece of the stars in the sky had been torn down and descended into the human world. Truly powerful. The son of the heavenly talisman emperor truly lives up to his reputation. No wonder he could kill the Thunder Marshal Shah with a single sword strike. Tai Mangdi's eyes were burning with fighting spirit. His entire body seemed to be burning with excitement. If that's the case, I have no choice but to use my true abilities and play with you. Heavenly Palace of Tai. Rumble. Innate stellar chi also appeared above his head, turning into a celestial palace. This celestial palace was majestic and magnificent, almost comparable to Buzhou Palace. At first, the heavenly palace was only the size of a palm, but in the blink of an eye, it began to expand. All the nebula was blasted apart. Around the celestial palace, there were immortal beasts such as azure lions, white elephants, green luans, fire phoenixes, white cranes, colorful deer, and many more. There were also many golden-armored immortals wandering around. This celestial palace was one, exploding with great power. Gu Qinsha was expressionless. More innate stellar chi emerged from his body. His beard was calm, without a single stray thought. At this moment, even if the opponent was a god from the 9 heavens descending to the mortal world, he would not be surprised or moved at all. His spirit consciousness expanded again, and the innate stellar chi became more and more profound. This nebula seemed to start breathing, suddenly condensing, and turning into a huge instrument. Zhou Tian Yi. This instrument could deduce thousands of mysteries, encompassing all things in the world, including the vicissitudes of the human world. No matter how imposing the opponent's celestial palace was, it was suppressed by this Zhou Tian Yi. Zhou Tian Yi did not use power to suppress, but used its profound intelligence to deduce the flaws of this celestial palace, and then attacked and destroyed it. Tai Yi transformation, limitless limit. Tai Mang Di roared again. He did not expect that he could not break out of Gu Qinsha's stellar chi encirclement. Only now did he realize that Gu Qinsha's strength was much stronger than he had imagined. All sorts of auras boiled on his body, twisting repeatedly, releasing even stronger stellar chi. War drums thundered inside the celestial palace, as if thousands of immortal generals were coming out to kill. Intense radiance spun along with the celestial palace, shooting out in all directions, not stopping until Gu Qinsha's seal was broken. This time, Gu Qinsha also felt the pressure increase. His innate stellar chi was like a sturdy dam, while Tai Mangdi's attacks were like a raging flood, never stopping. Where did this kid get such dense stellar chi from? To be able to last for so long and retaliate even more fiercely. He was also puzzled. He had refined the dragon transformation pagoda into a dragon gate and had many fortuitous encounters, evolving the dragon gate. At first, he had devoured the sea-carrying gourd, which formed a space of its own that could store innate stellar chi, allowing his own stellar chi to multiply. After that, He had fused with the sun-swallowing bash pouch, which could store even more stellar chi, and he could devour all sorts of strange energies to convert them into his own innate stellar chi. Finally, he had refined the Star Dragon bracelet, which expanded the space inside the Dragon Gate, making his innate stellar chi unparalleled in the same cultivation realm. It could be said that in the same cultivation realm, other than Liu Baiwei, Gu Qiansha felt that no one could compare to him in having an aura that was longer and more resilient. But now that this time Mang Di could still hold out, he definitely had an unparalleled treasure on him. There seemed to be dragons swimming in Gu Qiansha's pupils, and in that instant he could almost see through many parts of Time Mang Di's body. As expected, he found that deep in this person's dantian, there was a radiant pearl that was continuously providing him with innate stellar chi. This pearl gave off an ancient aura. I see. Gu Qiansha let out a long howl, and the innate stellar chi in his palm instantly condensed into a rune. This rune was the sealing rune. This rune appeared, fused with his stellar chi, and entered the expanding Sky Palace. Instantly, the Sky Palace seemed to have its source of power cut off, and it quickly shrunk, no longer having any aura. Tai Mang Di found that the source of stellar chi in his body was actually cut off. He put his palms together, and yin and yang became one. His body once again produced an unseen power, and he wanted to shatter Gu Qiansha's seal. But in that instant, Gu Qiansha retracted all of his innate stellar chi, and a sword appeared in his palm, and he slashed. Just one sword. Once this sword appeared, the light of the sun and moon seemed to be stolen, and the power of heaven and earth seemed to be suppressed. The hearts of all living beings were connected. But this sword's posture was laughably clumsy, like a newborn piglet, round and blurry, and unable to do anything. It was this sword that severed all the profound meanings. The complicated and chaotic changes were all severed by this sword. Wang. Just as Tai Mang Di removed the seal and recovered his stellar chi, Gu Qiansha's sword was already on his neck. The sword light spat out, and it gave off a terrifying aura. Its killing power was enough to slice open the glass jade body and cut off his head. Although the Tao Realm glass jade body was strong, if one's head was cut off, one would definitely die. And Gu Qiansha was enough to cut off his head. Thanks for letting me win. He retracted his sword. Of course, Gu Qiansha wouldn't kill him. He was the son of Tai Mystic sect leader, and if he killed him, the entire Mystic sect would probably go crazy, and the consequences would be hard to bear. Your body is the same as mine, and you have an extremely strong treasure. But that treasure was not crafted by you, so when you use it, there are still slight flaws. This allowed me to use a mysterious technique to temporarily cut off your connection with the treasure, and luckily win. Treasures were not crafted by oneself, so there would always be some incompatibility, and they wouldn't be able to move as one wished. Amazing. Tai Mang Di knew that he had lost, but he wasn't discouraged. You are right. The treasure in my body is called Tai Pearl, and it is the most important treasure of my sect. However, for tens of thousands of years, no one has been able to gain its recognition. However, it has recognized me. With this pearl, I'm almost invincible among my peers, but I lost to you. Like you said, my connection with this treasure isn't that close, but in the future, I won't lose so easily. I remember that in the ancient legends, the Tai Pearl is a bit of chaos essence left after the creation of the world. It was refined into a supreme treasure by the founder of Tai Mystic sect, Tai Heavenly Lord. After Tai Heavenly Lord died, no one has been able to activate this treasure. Gu Qiansha was extremely shocked. You actually gained the pearl's recognition. Humph. Tai Mang Di's eyes turned sharp. The founder of Tai Mystic sect, Tai Heavenly Lord, had a great cultivation base. If he hadn't died that year, he wouldn't have been bullied by the three Heavenly Lords. Hearing this, Gu Qiansha's heart raced. He had long heard that the three supreme Heavenly Lords of the immortal Tao, Heavenly Lord Yuan Gu, Heavenly Lord Putoa, and Heavenly Lord Dosheng had returned, and were now presiding over the affairs of the upper echelons of the immortal Tao. It seemed that at least Tai mystic sect was very dissatisfied with the three heavenly lords. It seems that the immortal Tao is not a monolithic block. We can break them one by one and suppress them separately. Gu Qinsha thought. Then he had an idea. Brother Mangdi, don't worry. After the imperial court enlists Baoyu country, Tai mystic sect's business will remain unchanged. Their interests will also be taken care of. How about that? Is that true? Tai Mangdi was overjoyed. He knew that he had failed this time. He was afraid that he would be attacked wantonly when he returned to the sect. Even though he was the son of the sect master, he couldn't do whatever he wanted. For example, if Gu Qinsha failed in enlisting Tai mystic sect, he couldn't gain a foothold in the imperial court. But now that his interests weren't affected, he didn't feel that much pressure anymore. Of course, I have some foundation in the imperial court. I can still make this decision. Gu Qinsha wanted to make friends with Tai Mangdi, so he immediately invited him. If Brother Mangdi is interested, let's go back and discuss things carefully. Actually, there are countless jade mines in this sea area waiting to be developed. If you and I join hands, it might be a win-win situation. That's fine. I think you're a straightforward person. Let's have a talk. Besides, your martial arts are exquisite. I can learn from you. Tai Mangdi could also see that Gu Qinsha wanted to make friends. Of course, he wouldn't keep him at arm's length. The two returned to the Jade Frost Dew's mansion. Chapter 227. Brother Mangdi and I are evenly matched. After discussing for a while, we came up with a plan. Gu Qinsha spoke first, trying to save face for Tai Mangdi. I appreciate your good intentions. Tai Mangdi waved his hand. A loss is a loss. I won't cover up the truth just for this bit of face. Yu Huang, go back first and discuss with Brother Qinsha. We need to make a plan for precious Jade Nation's future. Don't worry, your interests will not be harmed. Yes, Yu Huang was the crown prince, but he didn't dare to be long-winded in front of Tai Mangdi. Hanlu, go prepare for the enlistment. Gu Qinsha told Hanlu. Brother Mangdi and I have pretty much decided on this, but you need to be prepared. Don't rush for instant benefits and incite the discontent of the people. Yes. Hanlu was overjoyed and hurried out. Yu Huang's thoughts moved. He knew that the enlistment had been decided. There was no point in resisting. Luckily, Tai Mangdi promised not to harm his interests, which calmed him down a lot. Only Tai Mangdi and Gu Qinsha were left in the study. The two looked at each other. Gu Qinsha spoke first. What does Brother Mangdi think of the world situation? Great Yong dynasty rose out of nowhere. The people's morale is boiling. Heaven Talisman Great Emperor's might is unparalleled. He has many experts under him. Among the younger generation, there's also Liu Baiyue, Brother Qinsha, Gu Huasha, and Feng Lin. It's a fully fledged army. Tai Mangdi said, the barbarians only have barbarian saint holding on. Many evil gods have been sealed. The barbarians' destruction is only a matter of time. As for us, Immortal Path, we don't listen to the imperial court, but as long as Heaven Talisman Great Emperor is willing, we will eventually submit to the imperial court. Oh, this was the first time Gu Qinsha heard a disciple of the Immortal Path think highly of the imperial court. Brother Mangdi thinks highly of the imperial court? I've met many Immortal Path people. They all say that the imperial court is going against the trend and won't last for long. This time, the black chi devouring the sun, the demon star descending, is the greatest disaster. Even if that's the case, how can heroes achieve great things without tribulations? Tai Mangdi's tone was filled with admiration. Heavenly Talisman Grand Monarch was once a disciple of Xiangate's Immortal Path. I've studied his deeds in detail. He was indeed invincible the moment he stepped onto the Tao. Perhaps he really has a way to create a new situation for the world. I didn't expect Brother Mowdy to have such a high opinion of the imperial court. Looks like I've met a bosom friend. Gu Qinsha clapped his hands and laughed out loud. We can exchange our martial skills. The battle just now didn't seem to be satisfying enough. To be honest, ever since I cultivated the innate divine energy, not to mention those who are at the same level as me, even those who are 4 or 5 levels higher than me are nothing to me. Today, Brother Mang Di is the first person who managed to fight me to a draw at the same level. I wonder if Brother Mang Di can show me the power of the Tai Pearl? That's easy. Tai Mang Di spat out a bead that hovered above his head. This pearl was a mass of primal chaos energy. Yin and Yang circulated within it, and according to one's will, it could transform into various shapes. How profound! Gu Chansha carefully observed it. Legend has it that the primal chaos energy during the creation of the world, even a trace of it could turn into a mountain. For Lord Tai to be able to forge a treasure, his power is truly unimaginable. Brother Chansha also has a treasure. Can you show it to me? Tai Mang Di asked. Of course, Gu Chansha spat out the dragon gate. So, it's a dragon gate, but it was forged by yourself, fusing the presence of many ancient items. This treasure was forged by you yourself. No wonder you can use it more freely than I can. Tai Mang Di sighed. A treasure that doesn't belong to me is indeed difficult to use, and its power can't be fully unleashed. The two of them continued to study the treasure, sharing their own cultivation insights. Gu Chansha even shared his demon book of confusion, the Great Spirit God technique, Bujo Immortal Fist technique, and 9 Calamities transformation, which made Tai Mang Di exclaim at how generous he was. Especially the Bujo Immortal Fist technique, which was the ultimate skill of the ancient Emperor Zhou. It contained the mysteries of the birth and death of ghosts and gods, and the way of calculation was even more exquisite. In this way, Tai Mang Di couldn't keep it to himself, so he shared everything he had learned. As the son of the headmaster, he knew almost all the ancient books and cultivation methods of Tai fantasy sect. The highest ancient book of Tai fantasy sect was the Tai Salvation Sutra. It was said that after mastering it, one could save all the suffering in the world. This sutra contained supreme mysteries and was very difficult to comprehend. Besides, Tai Fantasy Sect also had other secret books, such as Phantom Sword Sutra, Flying Secret Chi, Mysterious Secret Method, 5 Elements External Alchemy Technique, 8 Secluded Essence Technique. These martial arts also had their own mysteries, and some disciples had cultivated them to a very high realm. Gu Chansha benefited a lot from listening. After all, Tai Mang Di was the son of the headmaster, and Tai Fantasy Sect was the second largest sect, the strongest after the Heavenly Heaven-Earth sect. Therefore, he had received systematic training, and the best methods of cultivating disciples in the past tens of thousands of years were used on Tai Mang Di. Gu Chansha's way of learning gave him a unique feeling. He was now a peerless genius. He could immediately understand any cultivation method after hearing it, and then start to analyze it, extracting the essence to supplement his own clumsy fist technique. In his mind, there were no less than 5,000 of him repeatedly calculating. In just a few breaths, he could know what the essence of a martial art was. The two of them talked about martial arts and cultivation, feeling very carefree. Gu Chansha had read all kinds of ancient books and was very familiar with the stories of the immortal Tao, history, and anecdotes. Some of the things he said made Tai Mang Di very interested. After all, Tai Mang Di had been cultivating since he was born. How would he know about historical books? After talking for 3 days and 3 nights, Gu Chansha and Tai Mang Di settled on various matters after recruiting Bayou Country. Tai Mang Di even invited Gu Chansha to explore the seabed with great interest. With the two of them working together, they would definitely be able to explore deeper into the sea and discover many things. Of course, Gu Chansha refused. After suppressing the head of Xing Qiongshi, the #1 ferocious beast in the Divine Land, Gu Chansha would not seek death. Of course, it was better not to tell Tai Mang Di this big secret, in case it was used by others. After settling on the matter with Tai Mang Di, things became simpler. Gu Chansha also released Taoist Tai He and those disciples, and refined their damaged flying swords before returning them, making them even more magical. Without the obstruction of the Great Wei dynasty and Tai fantasy sect, the recruitment went very smoothly. Gu Qinsha stayed in Baoyu country for another 3 months, managing all sorts of matters in the dark. Finally, this matter was settled. After everything was settled, he showed up to meet the king of Baoyu country and the officials, and read the imperial decree. As expected, there was no trouble. Originally, such a major matter would take at least a few years to settle, but now, it was settled in just a few months. It was a godly speed. Finally, Baoyu country became the territory of the Great Yonko, and it was connected to Dragon's Word Island and Ocean Rock Island. After settling this matter, Gu Qinsha felt reassured. He wrote a letter to the imperial court, and then returned to Calming Immortal Department. There were many complicated matters in Calming Immortal Department, and he had to come to help. He had no time to hide and cultivate. However, during the few months in Baoyu country, he was not idle. He spent most of his time cultivating, studying Taoist techniques, operating the Dragon Gate, and integrating all the knowledge he had learned from Tai Mang Di. His spiritual sense had also made great progress, and he could do 9,000 things at once. He was just one crucial step away from stepping into the 10 changes of Tao Realm. Normal people's 10 changes of Tao Realm was 1,000 things at once, but his was 1,000 things at once. To be able to split his spiritual sense into 9,000 parts. Each part could perform different changes, think about different things, and calculate and combine them. Such an ability to control Xiantian Gang Qi was extremely terrifying. During these days, he had refined the Dragon Gate, and the demons subduing blade and king dragon armor were becoming more and more exquisite. The world was slowly recovering, and the people had recovered from the earthquake. Everywhere, construction was being carried out, and it was a scene of prosperity. The imperial court had accumulated a lot of wealth, and not only did the disaster not damage its foundation, but it also mobilized the people's wealth. All sorts of construction projects were in full swing, and the circulation of wealth increased. This could be said to have turned a disaster into a blessing. The imperial court was able to provide disaster relief, and there were no more natural disasters, so the people gradually calmed down. Calming Xian Department also obtained the loyalty of hundreds of second- and third-rate celestial sections. Large amounts of taxes surged in, and, along with the operation of some capable people, they used the taxes from the celestial sects to do business. Their wealth was like a rolling snowball that was used to subsidize the imperial court's finances. Calming Xian Department's income was huge, and it was extremely important to subsidize the imperial court. This caused the imperial court's finances to be really rich, and it was more than enough to build all sorts of things. The only fly in the ointment was that the heavenly talisman Great Emperor was often in closed-door cultivation. He only replied with 3 words, "Got it," regarding the memorial that Gu Qinsha and Liu Baiwei sent to them. Luckily, Heaven Talisman Emperor would occasionally appear, and as a result, there weren't many problems in the imperial court. How long? Thunder rumbled, and a huge wind blew. Along with that, dark clouds covered the sky, and rain started to pour. Gu Qinsha was in the courtyard at the center of Calming Xian Department. He waved his hands, and a Xiantian Gang Qi whirlpool appeared. It was half an acre wide. Attracted by the innate energy whirlpool, the lightning bolts in the sky struck down as if they didn't cost anything. All of them fell into the whirlpool and disappeared in an instant. Sometimes balls of lightning were also absorbed. An hour later, all the lightning in the sky was absorbed cleanly. The dark clouds dissipated and the wind blew gently. 19th brother, your cultivation is getting stronger and stronger. It looks like I'm no longer your match. The 4th Gu Huasha walked over. This technique of yours, you absorb the lightning in the sky for your own use, and refine the creation chi in the lightning. This technique is truly marvelous. 4th brother, you must be joking. Gu Qinsha was very humble. The weather in the wilderness is really changeable. One moment it's sunny, and the next there are dark clouds and lightning. Some places are scorching hot, and some places are frozen. Chapter 228. In the center of the Celestial Pacification Department, there was a hall about 3 to 4 acres in size. A feng shui layout was laid out of a landscape cast from jade. There was the Great Wall, Xian Prefecture, Shi Prefecture, Wu Prefecture, and so on. The entire Yonko-S territory had shrunk by hundreds of millions of times, but the mountains, rivers, and veins were all present. Moreover, the jade absorbed spiritual energy and emitted light, causing the landscape to seem to come alive. The 3 heads of the Celestial Pacification Department, Lu Baiyue, Gu Chansha, and the 4th, Gu Huasha, stood in front of the jade plate, watching the country's geography and giving advice. The imperial court's territory is constantly expanding. This time, Chunsha, you completed the recruitment of Baoyu Nation and opened up the sea route. It can be said that your merit is immeasurable, causing the country's fortune to increase dramatically and stabilizing the people's hearts. Lu Baiyue pointed to the overseas territory. In time, at least 10 to 30 years, the entire wilderness will fall into our hands, and the population will increase dramatically. Of course, the main thing is to rely on the Celestial Pacification Department to increase the wealth of the tax revenue to support the country's enormous financial expenditure. The resources that immortal cultivators require are too great. They demand from the heavens and earth, but they don't know how to respond. Even if they collect wealth and store it in warehouses, it won't circulate, and it's as good as dead. The 4th clasped his hands behind his back. I've done some calculations. If the 72 mystical sects of the immortal Tao pay taxes, the population of the Yonko will increase by 1,000 times. How prosperous will it be then? Gu Qinsha was also intoxicated by this imagination. If they could really reach that step, how strong would the country be? How strong would the emperor's aura be? Perhaps the imperial court would be so strong that it could expand its territory to many dimensions and set out into the boundless starry sky. Right? Wasn't there news of the birth of a person with the aura of the stars? Gu Qinsha asked. Also, regarding the matter of the Divine Continent's #1 killer, Imperial Father hasn't expressed his position, only saying that he knows. Do you have any feedback from your side? The Emperor must have his own plans. Lu Baiyue took out her memorial. Look, this is the Emperor's instructions for me. Gu Qinsha saw that the contents of Lu Baiyue's secret memorial was a report on the Calming Immortal Department's tax collection, as well as information on the whereabouts of the people who had been reincarnated by the star's aura. Up until now, the Tranquil Immortal Department had roped in several hundred second-rate and third-rate immortal Tao sects and received a large amount of taxes. However, they hadn't gained anything from investigating the reincarnation of star energy. Lu Baiyue asked for forgiveness in the report. The heavenly talisman Immortal Emperor's instruction was very simple. Go to the Martial Prefecture to take a look. Wu Province? That's right, Gu Qinsha said. Not too long ago, Fu Huang conferred a new imperial concubine with the title Ming called Wu Dankong. Are they from the Wu clan? That's right. Lu Baiyue frowned. That imperial concubine Ming was originally the manager of the Calming Martial Merchant Association. Her methods are not to be underestimated. She has a fiancé called Jing Fanxing, the most outstanding seed of the current generation in the Black Heaven Earth sect. It is rumored that although his aptitude is not as good as F.A. Wuxian's, it is second only to him. I wonder why His Majesty suddenly took this woman as a concubine. However, His Majesty's methods are unfathomable. There must be a deeper meaning behind this. I've studied Wu Dankong's methods of doing business. They are not to be underestimated. Gu Qinsha recalled the ironclad fleet when he first arrived at the port of Baoyu Nation. Long Yuyun and Cold Jade Du had told him about the Calming Martial Merchant Association. The Calming Martial Merchant Association was one of the top trading partners in Baoyu Nation. Every year, they bought countless jades from Baoyu Nation into Yonko. However, after Gu Qinsha recruited Baoyu Nation, he adjusted the share of the jades. All of them were given to Cold Jade Du and Long Yuyun to do business. A portion of it became the income of the Calming Immortal Department, while the rest was the private business of the feudal lord's residence. In this way, 90% of the calming Martial Merchant Association's share was snatched away. Gu Chensha knew the ins and outs of the calming Martial Merchant Association. Many aristocratic families had invested in it, and they were basically against him. Furthermore, it involved the Black Immortal Tao sect. When faced with an opportunity to attack his enemy, he would not be lenient. He looked gentle on the surface, but he did not lack methods. In fact, he had needles and cotton. He made others think that cotton was weak and easy to bully. When the time came, the poisonous needles would pierce into the opponent's flesh. This woman actually became Father's imperial concubine. I'm afraid it's not that simple. I have to be on guard. Gu Qinsha had already thought of many countermeasures. Let's not care about Wu Dankong for now. Gu Huasha waved his hand. At best, she is just a bright concubine. Moreover, Father has been in seclusion. Letting her into the inner palace is actually a declaration. The Wu clan has never submitted to the imperial court. This time, sending a woman into the palace represents a certain meaning. It is to calm the hearts of many aristocratic families. This disaster seems to have passed peacefully on the surface. However, many people are still very confused. Father wants to use political means to restore the hearts of the people. This makes sense. Gu Qinsha pointed at the words on the memorial. Since Father said that there might be a person who inherited the Qi of Stars in Wu Prefecture, I will make a trip. Bai Wei and fourth brother will be in charge of the Calming Immortal Department. I will be in charge of running around. The Calming Immortal Department can't do without people. Liu Baiwei said, the fourth can't be idle either. He will go to the Eastern Barren Territory later to contact the second and third-rate sects and some unorthodox sects to deal with their disputes. I have to keep an eye on the Imperial Court and establish a relationship between the Calming Immortal Department and the major departments of the Imperial Court. Indeed, only you are suitable. When the Calming Immortal Department was in operation, it was no small matter. Every day, there were at least tens of thousands of matters that had to be handled. All kinds of documents had to be approved. Fortunately, Liu Baiwei could multitask and was very efficient. She could handle thousands of people on her own. The documents that piled up like a mountain only needed to divide her innate gang qi into thousands of balls, and she would be done in a short while. Even so, there was always more work to be done. However, the Wu Prefecture is huge. There's so many people, and I don't have a target. It is too difficult to find a person. Have you calculated anything? Gu Qinsha asked. This time, I can't inform the local authorities about the search for the person who inherited the Qi of Stars. It will be a waste of manpower and money. Not only will people be uncertain, but it will also be easy for the news to be leaked. This time, we must search in private. Liu Baiwei immediately agreed. The officials of the Wu Prefecture are more or less related to the Wu clan. As long as you appear, the Wu clan will know immediately, and they will obstruct you. In fact, I can't calculate who the Qi of Stars reincarnated is. According to logic, the power of the Qi of Stars surpasses that of gods. Even gods would find it difficult to calculate some specific movements. In addition, the heavenly Tao is blinded, and heaven's secrets are chaotic. I'm afraid that even the old antiques of the immortal Tao don't know anything. However, searching for the Qi of Stars reincarnated is also a kind of cultivation. It is a game with the heavenly Tao, and it can see through heaven's secrets. It is very beneficial to the cultivation of one's spirit. The star in the sky corresponding to the Wu Prefecture is the martial song star. Heaven and earth can sense it. That person might have inherited the profound meaning of the martial song star and reincarnated. The fourth Gu Huasha gave his opinion. I understand. Gu Chunsha nodded his head. Recently, I have been studying the stars to search for the Qi of Stars reincarnated. If I have any gains, it will also help to raise my cultivation. The three of them discussed for a while more before Gu Qinsha called the five of them over. He tested their cultivation techniques and taught them some new techniques before leaving. Liu Yu and the others' cultivation was really quick. Since they entered the calm, celestial department, They interacted with celestial path people. Not only did they broaden their horizons, but they also learned many things that they couldn't normally learn. It was much better than cultivating in seclusion. They had all cultivated the Tao, realm, 8 transformation, samadhi, true fire, and were just one crucial step away from the glass J body realm. Moreover, the 5 seasons God sword in their hands was slowly being activated, becoming a God weapon. It even exceeded the law-breaking, and law-destroying celestial swords. As their cultivation increased, the potential in their bodies was slowly released. They were actually all top geniuses, and their future was limitless. Each time she saw the 5 of them, even Liu Baiwei would sigh. Gu Qinsha was really lucky to be able to pick up such talents. Out of all her subordinates, only Liu Huaiyue was a top genius. Gu Qinsha had a total of 6 subordinates. Apart from Liu Yu and the others, there was also Long Zhaifei. One could say that even the weakest sects in the 72 Celestial Path sects would find it hard to find 6 top geniuses. Of course, these 6 people were now members of the Calming Immortal Department. They could also be considered talents. In terms of potential, the Calming Immortal Department had already surpassed some of the weaker sects in the 72 Mystic Gates of the Immortal Tao. If they had a few hundred years, it would not be impossible for the Calming Immortal Department to become a colossus. After Gu Qinsha left the Calm Celestial Department, he immediately hid his body and left silently. Now, the Calm Celestial Department's every move was being watched by many people. There were spies from the Celestial Path outside, as well as scouts from the various noble forces in the court. He definitely could not let his guard down. Fortunately, his current concealment technique was the invisibility talisman of the Sun and Moon talismans. Coupled with the increase in his cultivation, if he deliberately hid his body, even a Golden Dan Great Tao cultivator would find it difficult to see through him. He flew silently in the sky at lightning speed. With his current cultivation, if he activated it completely, he would probably fly hundreds of miles in a few breaths. The Great Yonko was very vast, but Gu Qinsha's speed was nothing. Soon, he flew to the Wu Prefecture and landed on a lonely mountain. The Wu Prefecture was very vast, with beautiful mountains and rivers. It was not like the jagged rocks of the Stone Prefecture. The people of the Wu Prefecture practiced martial arts. There were heroes everywhere, crouching tigers and hidden dragons. In the center of the Wu Prefecture, there were 5 huge mountains: Yangwu Mountain, Yuanwu Mountain, True Martial Mountain, Martial Transformation Mountain, and Taiwu Mountain. That was the territory of the Wu clan, established by the martial saint in the ancient era. Gu Qinsha entered the Wu Prefecture and observed the people. He only felt that the air was filled with a martial and heroic air. This was the custom of the people, and it was very strong. As the saying went, different places nurtured different people. The customs of a place would gradually be influenced by the people born in that place. He did not go deep into the Wu Prefecture, staying in the barren mountains at the border to avoid attracting the attention of the Wu clan. At night, the sky was filled with stars. Billions of stars shone with light, converging to form a huge stellar vortex. There was also a huge river of stars. It was impossible to tell which star was which. But Gu Qinsha was familiar with all kinds of astrological records, and he had even comprehended the sacrifice of stars of the sun and moon sacrificial rites. He could distinguish which stars had what attributes, which were evil stars, and which were inauspicious stars. Chapter 229. The martial song star was hidden among the stars, inconspicuous. But in Gu Qinsha's sun-moon dragon eye, this star was different. As the starlight flickered, it seemed to have a domineering aura. This was the concept of martial stargazing. Gu Qinsha drew a circle with his hands, and his Xiantian Qi turned into a crystal screen. In this crystal screen, the starlight was magnified infinitely. He saw that the starlight of the martial song star seemed to have some kind of connection with the Wu province. Invisible to the naked eye, the huge star power descended and was drawn to the 5 mountains in the center of the Wu province. Yangwu Mountain, Yuanwu Mountain, True Martial Mountain, Martial Transformation Mountain, and Extreme Martial Mountain. These 5 mountains had endless arrays that drew in the star power. It was unknown how many thousands of years it had been in operation. This foundation was not something an ordinary family or a second or third-rate immortal Tao sect could compare to. The Wu clan absorbed the star power of the martial song star and combined it with the Earth's veins, nurturing many talents of the Wu clan, resulting in many talents in the clan. Of course, these talents were mid-grade and high-grade talents. Geniuses and unparalleled geniuses could only be encountered by chance. In fact, mid-grade talent was also amazing and was called general talent, while high-grade talent was commander talent. Geniuses were talents that descended from the heavens, not something that could be created by humans. Gu Chencha's Dragon Gate could create geniuses, which was equivalent to defying the heavens. That was the ability of the Dragon Gate. But if all the geniuses in a large clan were mid-grade and high-grade talents, it was also extremely terrifying. In fact, even in a sage clan, most of the disciples were mediocre, good-for-nothings, idiots, and mediocre. The martial sage mountain, shifting mountain created a huge array and mountain range for the clan, allowing the Wu clan to prosper for a long time. It is indeed a method to reverse fate. Gu Chansha calculated, "Fine, let me see the wonders of the martial song star." His body moved, and a lot of Xiantian Qi appeared on his body, turning into 360 long banners, which actually formed a large array in the sky. This was the astral divinity banner of the Tao of Buzhou. It could be refined into a Dharma treasure using all kinds of materials and draw upon the power of the stars in the sky. However, Gu Chensha did not have the time to find the materials to refine it. Instead, he used the solar moon transformation divine ability and innate stellar energy to simulate this Dharma treasure and set up a grand formation. The transformation of sun and moon was able to simulate almost everything in the world with the innate stellar energy. Even the most complicated martial arts could be simulated. After so many days of arduous cultivation, Gu Chansha was now able to do 9,000 things at once. Although the power of the divine star banner condensed from his innate stellar energy was not as great as the one he condensed from his innate stellar energy, it was more than enough for him to calculate the location of the martial song star. Stars gather, Wu-Tzu appears, heaven and earth change. Gu Chansha was deep in the formation. The innate stellar banner that was formed from innate stellar energy fluttered in the air, releasing waves of suction force. It didn't take long for the spell formation to form a unique frequency that reached beyond the highest heavens. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. About a few hours later, in the middle of the night, a tiny, snake-like starlight suddenly descended and fell into the formation. Condense, turn into a talisman, sacrifice. Gu Chansha captured the starlight. 9 long ropes of innate stellar energy immediately seeped out from his body and searched the entire mountain. In less than 10 breaths, the 9 long ropes of innate stellar energy returned. They were actually animals, including tigers, wolves, black bears, snakes, and other ferocious creatures. Gu Chansha used these ferocious beasts as sacrifices and used the celestial sacrifice talisman to worship the martial song star. This way, he could condense a mysterious talisman and use it to find the whereabouts of the reincarnated person who inherited the true essence of the martial song star. These ferocious creatures were wrapped up by Gu Chencha's long ropes of innate stellar energy and exploded in the air, turning into blood mist and ghosts. Then, he triggered the sacrifice. In an instant, the starlight of the martial song star flowed in the air and turned into a snowflake-sized talisman that landed on his hand. Very good. Luckily, I have a celestial sacrifice talisman. Other people might not be able to deduce the true essence of the star, but I might be able to find it. Gu Chansha held the talisman in his hand and was satisfied with his own methods. His Xiantian stellar energy turned into the star god banner and then into a long rope to search the mountain. This wasn't something someone at the Tao Realm 9 transformation could do. Even someone at the 15th or 16th transformation might not be able to use Sciention stellar energy so mysteriously like him, especially when he used his stellar energy to form long ropes to search the mountains dozens of miles around. Even people like Yi Zheng, who had reached the 17th transformation, Tao splitting soul, found it hard to do. This required Sciention stellar energy to form long ropes that flew dozens of miles away. Moreover, they split into 9 at once. At this moment, Gu Chunsha could be considered to have truly stepped into the celestial path. His methods were similar to those of the celestial path. A few days ago, he exchanged techniques with Tai Mang Di in Jade Country, and his cultivation improved greatly. He was really familiar with the various celestial path techniques. Star searching God, he spun the snowflake-sized talisman in his hand. Instantly, the star talisman spun in the air and pointed towards a direction. Good fellow. Gu Chunsha was delighted. He followed the talisman and flew towards the direction it was pointing at. After flying for a few hours, the sky turned bright and the starlight disappeared. A red sun hung in the sky, illuminating the area with a red glow. Suddenly, the talisman stopped moving and then scattered. Gu Chunsha knew that the star-reincarnated person was probably in this region. He looked below and realized that there were many cities. He was already in the prosperous Martial Prefecture. He recalled the map in his head and knew that this was the capital of Martial Prefecture. Martial Prefecture is really rich, and there are dozens of counties surrounding it. There are tens of millions of people, so there's no rush. Actually, how am I going to search? Gu Chunsha frowned, but he still landed. He was going to stay and search carefully. Pretending to be a scholar on a sightseeing tour, Gu Chunsha appeared from the wilderness with a long sword hanging at his waist. He walked to the main road and entered the capital. The road was paved with stone and mud. It was wide enough for 8 carriages to pass through. It was no longer the muddy road from before. On rainy days, mud would be everywhere, and on sunny days, dust would cover the sun. Now, the main road was full of horses and carriages. There were even a few side roads to separate the carriages from the galloping horses and pedestrians. Martial Prefecture's construction is really good. Even the people are full of vigor. Gu Chunsha observed the customs and practices of the people and had a taste of it. His clumsy fist path was originally aimed at the ignorant and suffering of the common people. By observing and cultivating among the common people, he could nourish his martial arts and cultivate new changes. The people of Wuzhou were all capable and brave. Even the women and children knew how to fight. Gu Chunsha casually walked on the road and actually saw some people whose martial arts cultivation had reached the level of martial warriors and even martial masters. Hiya! 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 On the main road, horses galloped like dragons. Dozens of cavalrymen whizzed past. The leading cavalryman was wearing leather armor made from the hide of Herculean bull. It was almost invulnerable and very light. Moreover, the aura he exuded was that of a grandmaster who had reached the peak of the mortal realm. Although Gu Chunsha had stepped into the Tao realm and was no longer immortal, he knew that a grandmaster of the mortal realm was also a rare talent. When he first went on an errand and entered Banan province, the inspector only had 2 grandmasters as guards. Of course, that was the 15th year of Heavenly Talisman. Now 2 years had passed. In these 2 years, the imperial court had won a complete victory in the wilderness. Countless resources from the wilderness were continuously transported into the pass. All kinds of resources were abundant, and the people were extremely rich. Many martial artists had obtained elixirs made from the blood essence of ferocious beasts in the wilderness. Their cultivation had improved rapidly in these 2 years. Gu Chunsha's subordinates in the Calming Immortal Bureau had done some calculations. In these 2 years, the sales of elixirs by the Celestial Designer Institute to the common people had increased by more than 10 times. Cultivating Essence Pill, Vitality Pill, and other elixirs that were originally only available to the members of the imperial family had also been crazily flowing into the common people. Not to mention other things, Gu Qinsha himself had used the blood-cleansing pill made by the venomous poison sect, as well as elixirs made from the barbaric bowl of strength and various herbs from the wilderness to produce thousands of elixirs every month. With such a huge amount of elixirs flowing into the common people, many experts would naturally be nurtured. TSK. These are the Knights of the Tiger and Leopard Alliance. The one leading them is the third leader of the Tiger and Leopard Alliance, Ding Sampo. In the field by the road, there was a tea stall with dozens of tables. An old couple was brewing tea. There was also an 8- or 9-year-old girl and a 6- or 7-year-old brat helping out with the chores. The tea stall's business was good. Many people stopped here to have some snacks before entering the city. The food and drinks in the city were more expensive than outside. It was better to eat outside and enter the city. This was the meticulous planning of the common people. When Gu Qinsha heard a few small merchants talking, his mind stirred. He found a table in the tea stall and sat down, ordering a cup of tea. Although he had already transcended the mortal world, listening to the mortals' discussions at the roadside tea stall gave him a different feeling. His clumsy fist realm seemed to be on the verge of a breakthrough. It had been a long time since he came to the mortal world to observe it. At this moment, he felt that he was still part of the common people. The Tiger and Leopard Alliance has been amazing recently. I heard that the Alliance leader Jia Yidao hugged the Crown Prince Heng's son and worked for him. He received some rewards and actually stepped into the Tao realm. He is like an immortal. He doesn't need to eat and can absorb spiritual energy from the air. A merchant was also discussing. Old Wu, you are bragging again. How do you know about these important people? Another merchant mocked. Hee, you really don't say. I am in the business of purchasing medicinal ingredients. Last time, I went to the Tiger and Leopard Alliance's concubine wine and gave him a congratulatory gift. I heard about it at the banquet. The merchant called Old Wu smiled proudly. Now that I have a relationship with the Tiger and Leopard Alliance, if you want to get rich, you can join forces with me. After listening for a while, Gu Qinsha realized that this merchant called Old Wu was bragging a lot. However, he heard an interesting piece of news. It was that Gu Hongsha's son, Gu Tanjian, was running forces everywhere. He didn't know what the Tiger and Leopard Alliance was, but he could guess that it was definitely a big organization among the common people. Gu Tanjian was not simple. He might even be related to the Great Spirit God. Facing this person, even with Gu Qinsha's current cultivation, he had to be wary. Chapter 230. Gu Qinsha could see that the young man dressed like a scholar had an extraordinary bearing and a pair of bright eyes. He had the elegance of a scholar and a heroic air about him. Gu Qinsha couldn't help but nod his head. This young man actually has a superior aptitude. He also has martial arts and has reached the Grandmaster realm. I wonder which aristocratic family is he from? He nodded slightly. I'm from the capital. My surname is Chun, and my given name is Gong. I became a scholar in the 12th year of Tianfu. I have no interest in the imperial examinations and have come out to tour the world to gain experience. Where are you from, brother? Gu Qinsha wasn't making things up. He was one of the 3 heads of the Coming Xian Bureau and a prince. Not only was he of noble status, but he had also worked hard over the years to create different identities that made it convenient for him to go out and investigate. What he had just said was arranged by his other identity, Liu Baiwei. There was even a file to check. He was a spy from the Coming Xian Bureau. Gu Qinsha's sun-moon transformation was very exquisite. He could change his appearance and figure slightly, and his aura became that of a martial arts master at the 3rd tier of the mortal realm. He was now hiding his aura, cultivation, and identity. Even a golden core great path cultivator wouldn't be able to see through him. I'm from the spiritual state. My surname is Feng, and my given name is Yuzhou. I'm also a scholar in the 12th year of Tianfu. The scholar's face lit up. So Brother Chun is from the same year. Feng, are you a disciple of the Feng family? No wonder your cultivation is so extraordinary at such a young age. You've already reached the Grandmaster realm. I can't even hope to catch up to you. Gu Chen's heart skipped a beat. The Feng family of a spiritual state was a large family. Although it wasn't a family of sages 2,000 years ago, an extremely powerful figure, Feng Polong, appeared in the family. It was rumored that he had reached the Golden Core Great Path and helped an emperor ascend to the throne. The family flourished, and he lived for 1,000 years before dying of old age. Under the protection of this Golden Core Realm Grandmaster, the Feng family developed for 1,000 years and gradually accumulated a lot of wealth. Although this person died 1,000 years ago, the Feng family still had a place in the spiritual state because of the long period of hard work. I see that Brother Chun has come all the way from the capital. Do you also want to see the wonders of the dragon cultivating pill? Feng Yuzhou sat down and chatted with Gu Qinsha. Dragon cultivating pill? Gu Qinsha heard this. Why do you say that? What is that? Brother Chen actually doesn't know? Feng Yuzhou said, this matter has already caused a huge uproar. Rumor has it that the crown prince of the imperial court, Prince Heng's son, is recruiting heroes in the Martial province. He took out an ancient dragon-raising pellet as a reward. This pellet has the ability to seize the fortune of heaven and earth. It can turn a stupid, mediocre person into a true genius in a single leap. I see. Is there really such a magical pill? Gu Qinsha pretended to be surprised. Actually, the dragon gate in his body could also condense the dragon-raising pill. However, it would take at least 5 years for him to condense the innate stellar energy that he had painstakingly cultivated into the pill. Furthermore, this was under the situation where his cultivation had skyrocketed and the dragon gate had fused with the Star Dragon bracelet. If it was in the past, even if he and Liu Baiwa worked together, it would still take them decades to condense one. There was another way, which was to kill experts like Lei Wuxia and devour their Yuan Shun, Essence Blood, and Earth Qi or Golden Core. Of course, neither was worth it. Putting the dragon-raising pill aside, what was Gu Tanjian trying to do? If he wanted to recruit subordinates, he could have done it secretly. Yet he actually caused such a huge commotion in the Martial Province's capital and even throughout the ancient dragon-raising pill. This pill was even more valuable than the 7 Sacred Heart Tempering pill. A single pill could create a genius. Any major power would definitely be tempted. I'm heading to the Martial Province to search for the reincarnated person of the Martial Song planet. Gu Tanjian is also making arrangements here. He definitely has other plans. With this kid's cultivation, there is no way he could be so arrogant. Jean Suebu's information said that this kid might have the great spirit god behind him. It's not just empty words. Gu Qinsha thought to himself, but he did not show any of it on his face. Brother Chun, why don't you come with me to try your luck? I don't want a dragon-raising pill, but rumor has it that the prince has many tricks up his sleeves. A few days ago, the Tiger Leopard Alliance's leader Jia Yidao was given a legendary morality pill. He went from martial master to Dao realm, breaking through the limits of celestial being and becoming an immortal. Feng Yuzhou sighed. Even in my dreams, I want to step into Dao realm. I wonder how it feels. Gu Tanjian even has a morality pill. Gu Qinsha was truly shocked. The morality pill was a pill obtained by the ancient Son of Heaven by sacrificing 5 types of beasts and Son of Heaven Qi. It could allow martial masters to break through the barriers and truly step into Dao realm. The 5 beasts were white tiger, black snake, yellow turtle, green fox, and red eagle. Of course, the white tiger wasn't one of the 4 sacred beasts. It was just an ordinary white tiger. However, ordinary white tigers also had a very small amount of ancient white tiger bloodline. The heaven sacrifice decree was in his hands, so there was no way Gu Tanjian could concoct this pill. The only possibility was that he had obtained an ancient legacy. Is that so? On the surface, Gu Qinsha slapped the table lightly. If I could obtain such an elixir pill, I would immediately step into Dao realm. But what? Feng Yuzhou asked. I'm well informed in the capital city. I heard that the first prince was punished by his majesty not long ago. Now, he is in closed-door reflection. Moreover, all his military authority has been taken away. I'm afraid he has already lost his influence. I'm afraid he isn't a good tree. Gu Chunsha intentionally probed the prince's opinions among the commoners. The Great Yong dynasty was open to discussion. There were many newspapers among the commoners who were discussing the imperial court. It was normal for the commoners to discuss the ministers and the emperor. This was because the heavenly talisman emperor had the intention to open up a path for discussion. Therefore, he was praised by many of the commoners. It was normal for a few scholars to discuss the imperial court while drinking tea. That's not right. At this moment, a few scholars came in and sat down. Every movement of theirs was well-versed in martial arts. When they heard the conversation between Gu Chansha and Feng Yuzhou, they couldn't help but interrupt. Brother Zhou, Brother Huang, Brother He, it's been a long time. Feng Yuzhou seemed to know these few people. He cupped his hands in greeting and introduced. This is Brother Chun from the capital city. He is a scholar from the 12th rank of the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. We are the same year. Let's get to know each other. There's no need to be so distant. Just now, Brother Chun said that the first prince has lost his power. I don't agree. The scholar with the surname Zhou said, the first prince has guarded the customs for many years. He has many military achievements. However, he was harmed by a traitor in the imperial court. That's why he lost his military authority. His son, Gu Tanjian, has reinvigorated the army and expanded the territory of the imperial court in the wilderness. He has built a great foundation. In the future, he will definitely rise again. Oh, harmed by a traitor? Gu Qinsha hurriedly asked, who is the traitor that Brother Zhou is talking about? Of course, it's the two chiefs of the Celestial Communist Bureau, Liu Baiyue and the 19th Prince, Gu Chansha, Scholar Zhou said with disgust. Gu Qinsha never imagined that there would be a scholar among the common people who would evaluate him and Liu Baiyue as traitors. He could not help but feel a little angry. However, he suppressed it and felt that it was interesting. This change in his mood made him feel that his comprehension of his cultivation had loosened. He calmed himself down and smiled. According to what I know, the 19th Prince is also very capable. He is good at business. Recently, he recruited the Baoyu nation and completed the great task of expanding the territory of the imperial court. He collected taxes from the Celestial Communist Bureau. It seems to be a great supplement to the imperial court's finances. He has not done anything evil. Before this person rose to power, he pretended to be crazy. After he rose to power, he began to eliminate dissidents. His words and actions are inconsistent. In the future, he will definitely be an ambitious person in a chaotic world. If the imperial court continues to trust this person, the future will be turbulent. Scholar Zhou criticized loudly. Brother Zhou, what you said is wrong. Back then, the 19th Prince pretended to be crazy to protect himself. There is nothing wrong with that. Looking at his words and actions, he can be considered a capable official. A scholar with the surname Huang said, Brother Zhou, you are in the jade business. After the 19th Prince recruited the Baoyu nation, he allowed the people of the Celestial Communist Bureau and his fiefdom to monopolize the source of jade. Your clan lost their share, and your income was greatly reduced. It is normal for you to hate him. That Princess Yuefu Liu Baiyue's cultivation is deep and unfathomable. She is the Emperor's #1 favorite official. However, since ancient times, favoring a woman will bring about the destruction of the nation. That is not true. Now, both men and women can study and practice martial arts. This is the first time since ancient times. I feel that this is a great thing. Feng Yuzhou had other thoughts. Think about it. In the past, if scholars like us gathered together to discuss the imperial court, we would probably be arrested. Now we can speak freely. Isn't it enlightened and relaxed? The emperor can be considered wise on this point. Scholar Zhou nodded. However, the emperor seems to have forcefully taken in a concubine. She is from the Wu clan. That woman already has a fiancé. This is not what a wise emperor should do. Since ancient times, heroes have a weakness for the charms of beauties. This is especially true for emperors. A few scholars laughed out loud. Since ancient times, there have been a few emperors who gave up their country for the sake of beauties. This is understandable. All right, The world is becoming more prosperous. It is good for us scholars to travel around the world to broaden our knowledge. However, we must also find a place to live and bring honor to our ancestors. The eldest prince, Gu Tanjian, is a rather magnanimous person. I heard that he will be coming to the Wu province in a few days. We can pay him a visit then. Feng Yuzhou said, "Everyone, today is a beautiful day. Why don't we go sightseeing in the surroundings? It is a pity that the world is at peace now. There are no bandits or mountain bandits. Otherwise, we could travel together and imitate the scholars of ancient times. Wouldn't it be better?" Well, the scholars laughed out loud. "I still have to go into the city to settle some matters. I cannot accompany you all." Gu Qinsha quickly waved his hand. "If that is the case, let us go sightseeing first. If Brother Chun is still in the city, we can drink and chat when we return." Feng Yuzhou cupped his fists. "I live in the Rain Admiration Pavilion in the city. If Brother Chun does not have a place to stay, you can go there and report my name." "Many thanks." Gu Qinsha observed Feng Yuzhou's words and actions. He knew that this Feng Yuzhou had a heroic air about him and liked to make friends. As he watched the group of scholars leave together, he experienced some of the life of the commoners. It was quite interesting to see scholars traveling together, discussing the politics of the court and making friends. What is Gu Tanjian trying to do exactly? I think I should enter the city to take a look. He tossed down the money for his tea and walked towards the city gates. The city walls were extremely tall, and the soldiers on top were all clad in bright armor. They were full of vigor and spirit. There were also a few squads of soldiers patrolling the city gates to prevent people from causing trouble. There were also a few officials in charge of collecting taxes at the city gates who were checking the people entering the city. There were taxes to be collected when entering the city, and even more so, their identities were checked. The Heavenly Talisman dynasty stipulated that everyone had to have their own identification. On the identification, there was the date of birth, as well as a portrait of oneself. Many places were checked, and if one did not have this identification, it would be difficult for them to enter the city. This was to prevent bandits from causing trouble. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.